Shah had a plan, oh grand and true, to bring back a custom just for you, a dowry's charm to rekindle the fire. In a world where romance might expire, he'd gather gold with wit and flair, pledging his heart beyond compare. For in the shimmer of that old dear gold lies a tale of love, both brave and bold. Bring back the dowries, let's make it clear, a token of love that's sincere, building bridges heart to heart, a timeless way to never part. He spoke of tales from times long past, when gestures grand made love last. With every coin and jewel so bright, he'd prove his love in the soft moonlight. His dream was simple yet profound.
Hey guys, hopefully you can hear me okay. It's winter time, so the cat wants to hang out with me a lot more. So we're just gonna have to put up with her today. You know what, bro? I wish I made beats. I have two sound effect boards. I got one here on the audio interface, and then this is my old sound effects board. I always just use this. So a buddy of mine who is a musician told me to buy one of these, and he reprogrammed it to be a sound effects board. So you see here's what's a good sound effect? So now I have two sound effects boards. I have this and that, but it's nice because it gives me plenty of options. I have plenty of space to have sound effects. All right, guys. Let's just get one more song going, and it'll give everybody enough chance to come in. It'll be a chill stream today. I'm a little under the weather. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing a collab with our brother Emil Space, so I'm going to try to get a little bit more sleep tonight, and I should be better by then. What a good song. CGA, yep, we'll be hearing some CGA tonight. Luke, looks like you made it. My original was supposed to be I'm not sure. I am here right now, but I have to go again. Wanted to say yo to you all before I had to go. No worries, Luke. Thanks for coming in and saying hi, man. We appreciate you a lot. Let's make it clear. What a good song. I love this song. I love this song. All right, just one more song. We'll get some Dan the Man. Another classic. And then we'll be about 10 minutes in, and we'll get the show started. Don says, Shah, you make beats? Oh, no, yeah, I wish. Hey, Klaus. The show can actually get started now that Klaus is here. Pleasure to see you, man. That's what's up. Beat making is fun, but that's a creative way to do the FX. Thank you, man. Yeah. Man, I wish I could do beat making like that. The only guy I've ever seen do beat making that made me wish I could do that is this Belgian musician named Stromae. And he has some videos on YouTube from like over a decade ago of him making the beat. And I thought it was so cool back then. I was like, damn, I wish I could do that. You know what? I'll pull it up right now. Damn. I can't even remember the song name though. Stromae. I don't even remember the song. See, it doesn't even matter now. That's too bad. That's too bad. I haven't heard this guy in years. Oh, here it is. See, it was. See, I don't even know if I can play this, but this is 15 years ago. Like, I'm in college watching this. And see, he's got his little keyboard there.
Piano un petit peu latino, n'est-ce pas? Parce que pour moi, l'amour, c'est un petit peu ça. Même si vous allez voir que c'est un amour un peu spécial, et ça fait ceci. Ça a l'air légèrement cacophonique avec le fond peps.
I probably shouldn't even be playing this. I mean, there's probably copyright all over this, but I used to love this guy. Like, just, I don't know, man. I thought he made some really cool music. I listen to a lot of foreign stuff.
Voilà, il y a Peps qui est en train de chanter pour le moment, et je vais bientôt monter sur scène. J'enregistre directement le piano que je viens de vous montrer. Ça fait ceci.
There's... Don't we all wish we could be this guy in the lab right here?
Premier chapitre terminé, nous passons directement à une basse.
Okay, time to get some bass in that. All right, time to put some bass in it.
Parce que tout ça, ça me paraît bien classique, mais moi, bien sûr, il y a toujours l'influence électro, et particulièrement les années 90, que je dis fièrement, avec une petite basse.
Oh, I thought I put this down, my bad.
On s'enregistre immédiatement. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, see, that's just too good right there. That's too good.
Nous passons directement au chapitre numéro 3. Ça va très vite aujourd'hui, oui, parce que je dois bientôt passer sur scène. Il faut aller un petit peu plus vite.
What an amazing life being a musician. I mean, I think anybody who has kids should try to encourage their child to learn an instrument. You just never know, you know?
Que d'habitude.
All right, let's get the percussion in there.
Petite batterie que nous enregistrons toujours sur ce fond
But
de
cool.
peps.
Yeah, I like him.
Chapitre numéro 3.
Man, this is the YouTube I miss right here. I mean, this was 15 years ago. I remember I was in the library of my university in the basement floor, and I remember seeing this video.
1, 2, 3, 4. Je pense que tout est là.
All right, let's put everything else. Come on, I was giving it. All right, that's him doing his thing, man. I miss this guy. I wonder if he's still making music. I'll have to check him out. You know what? We got plenty of folks in here. Klaus is here. Luke's staying for a bit. We got Marcus Gray, Don DeMarco. I think that's most of the folks in here. Maybe we'll see Mr. Pitt in a bit. So yeah, we can get this started, man. Forgive me, I'm a little under the weather today. But that's not a big deal. You know, even if you're under the weather, you can still make it. So I just thought we'd just kind of chill a little bit and just, I saw this last week. I didn't watch all of it, but I enjoyed, you know, as much as I listened to, and I figured, hey, this would be great to react to. I've never really heard of this guy, but he seemed to have interviewed a lot of the bigger content creators. He's got a lot of followers. So I'm like, hey, there's another coach interview. Why not react to that? Before we react to that, though, I do have another DAO resource. It's not gonna be like, you know, text. It's gonna be just a small article with some pictures, because I don't want to stream too long today. We'll probably do 3 hours max, maybe less. I'm going to be doing a conversation with the male space, so we're actually recording that tomorrow morning. So I just want to not stay up too late tonight, hopefully get some more sleep, feel better by tomorrow, and then a male space and I can have, you know, a fun discussion. So taking it easy today. We're just chilling. You know, everybody's just having a good time. And yeah, so we'll just be doing that. Prior to that, there were a couple sources I wanted to show you. I'm actually going to show you a few pictures, but one of the pictures has a article about the dowry with it, and then I have a translation. So we'll be able to read that. I guess the other thing I should say is I've been working on a paper for a academic journal called New Male Studies. And I finished the paper. I had a few marathons on this over the last week writing this paper, and I'm not done with it. I still got to, tidy it up, get my citations correct and everything like that. And then I'm going to have that fully submitted by next week. And I need to decide on an image to use for it. So I wanted to showcase some of these images, and I thought maybe if anybody felt inspired by some of the images, you guys could use AI or something, and if you guys came up with something better, then maybe I would submit that image over with the paper. So when the paper comes out, it'll have some kind of background image wherever this article's posted. And so that was something I was basically trying to figure out, which reminds me, I needed to get an extra few pictures. Peter Wright sent me a lot of this stuff, and he had sent me some other pictures. He sent me these today, the sources we're going to go over, but he had sent me some funny pictures that I want to download just to dowry paper image 1, just because I thought they were funny, and it'll inspire you guys to kind of see what we're going for. So no pressure on that. I mean, we're just tooling with some stuff. I mean, if I don't figure it out, then I'll probably just go with like a dowry chest or something. Something, sorry, I'm almost there. I should have did this before the stream. Image 3. Nope, that's going to be image 4. Okay. Excellent. So you know what? I'll show you the pictures now. How about that? How about that? Oh. Here we go. So well, it kind of started in this order. So the paper is about how the dowry checks hypergamy. The dowry as a check on hypergamy. That's something you've heard me say before. We've talked about it a lot. We talked about it last week. Pearl made a short. I said that on my Pearl interview. Pearl made a short about it. So this paper that I'm writing, it's a fairly short paper, but it has a bunch of sources, and the argument I'm putting forth is that is about how the dowry system was a check on hypergamy. So we kind of have, this is sort of a image representing hypergamy, and you can see the men at the bottom there and being sort of stepped over by a woman seeking, to marry up. And this ladder here, so this one, this could get folks to click on the paper just because of the nature of the image, but this is a ladder. See what I mean? So the ladder, these are all AI, by the way. So that's her trying to climb the, the social status ladder. This one. So this one, there's some money and all that. So yeah, the ladder kind of represents this hypergamous thing. And then this is he represents the dowry, and he's cutting the rungs of the ladder off. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I thought it was pretty funny. Now let's get to what I actually want to share with y'all. I got a couple things. So, not to be so in a hurry here, but I kind of do want to get us to the video, but let's just enjoy these sources. Let me just check with the chat real quick. Hope everything. Take care of yourself. Get well. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. Happy Saturday, Shah. I haven't watched the show live in a while. Happy to be here. I appreciate you, Marcus, for being here. Honestly, man, it means a lot to me. I used to mess around with Sonic Pi. Stromae is cool. You know what I like about Stromae's name? It's basically Maestro, but the syllables are flipped. I always thought that was cool. I was never very good with it, though. If I miss Mr. Pitt, let him know I say hi. Absolutely. I says hi. I'll let him know. I watched all of this. Good interview. You're going into academia now? That's cool. Well, I've had an opportunity to submit a paper to a gentleman who's a professor who runs a paper that focuses on male issues. So I'm submitting the paper, you know, God willing, everything goes well and in terms of approval and all that. And then, you know, hopefully then I can share it with you guys in the Discord or even here on stream. And it'll be a sort of, you know, a first paper on this concept that we're focused on about how the dowry checks hypergamy. And, you know, I've read a lot about the dowry at this point, but and it's in there, it's implied, like reading it, you can see, but I've yet to see someone really focus on hypergamy in general. I mean, there are sources here and there, but really about just kind of how that, I don't know, checks it, at least from a male point of view too. So, you know, I'm not trying to say I don't know. I think it's just a perspective that's not often focused on. So let's just go with that. Luke Nielsen says, post them to the AI section so the boys can get a look and work them. I will. I'll make sure to do that after the show. Username. Yeah, what's up, bro? Shout out username, man. Great to see you. Always a blessing. All right, guys, I'm out. Have a good night and take care. Thank you, Luke. Thanks for coming in and saying hi, man. We appreciate you. Okay. Yes, definitely get well, man. I fell off recently and sleep helped me keep getting sick at bay. Yeah, man. That's really what I need. I haven't been sleeping a lot. I just been very busy last week, but you know, it's all right. We don't stop out here, even if we're a little tired. Dowry is a check on romantic love. It's an interesting perspective there. So the time to check female hypergamy is now. Okay. All right, so getting into our first sort of fun source here before we get into the main reaction or video that we're going to be reacting to, I got some more paintings, and this one is from 1771, and this one is called Her Weight in Gold, and this is from Jean-Léon Jérôme Ferris, and it says this painting entitled, let me see if I can make that bigger actually, entitled Her Weight in Gold, by the American artist Jean-Léon Jerome Ferris, depicts settlement of a dowry as the weight of the future bride. And this isn't something that's completely foreign to us. I mean, we read a newspaper that discussed a woman's weight in sugar and, you know, some of the colonial states there and even in South America. I think it was a Peruvian dowry where the father had weighed his daughter and basically provided a dowry that was her weight. I think it was in sugar, you know, because sugar was expensive back then. So yeah, that's a fun one there. Pretty cool picture. I like that, you know, so we can see her on a scale. And she's the bride to be, that's the groom, and we got this gentleman here, and they're loading sacks of gold onto the other end of the scale. So fun stuff there. I just thought I'd share this image. Another cool piece of history. This right here goes a bit further back, couple of thousand years actually, and this is a cuneiform tablet. So if you guys know about, you know, Sumerian history, Babylonian history, this one is Babylonian or Achaemenid, and you can see, you know, cuneiform is sort of characterized by taking these reeds, and when you cut the reed, it has this little triangular shape, like an isosceles triangle or something. And when you punch that into the clay tablets, you know, while they're wet, you can see the shape of the reed right there. So some of them are going horizontal, some are vertical and diagonal, and they got a whole system of writing. And it frankly is the earliest system of writing I think we have, at least as far as like mainstream academia is concerned. So pretty cool there. And then, you know, another fun thing is that Hammurabi's code, which is, I believe it's Akkadian written in cuneiform, actually mentions both bride price and dowry. So that's fun. So anyways, here's a cuneiform tablet, fragment of a dialogue document concerning a dowry conversion. So pretty cool right there. Pretty cool. Mesopotamia, clay, 7th through 4th century BCE. Fun stuff, fun stuff. This one we saw before. We saw this one before. And I'm showing you guys this because this could be inspiration for a dowry picture for the academic paper. This is a colorized version. So, you know, you can see the wagon. This has all the furniture in it. It's getting pulled by these horses who look like they need a break or something. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're having trouble. Oh, they're unloading it now. Okay, so thank God they finally got it over there. Oh man. This thing is just packed to the brim. Packed to the brim. So yeah, that's a fun one. And then we'll get to the main sort of thing here. This is the article that I wanted to focus on today. And it is from the Magasin Pittoresque, Volume 12, 1844, page 360. And it's all in French, but, you know, I do have a translation for us. And I thought this picture would inspire us. So this is not unlike the one we just saw, right? It's another wagon. Right? So we were looking at this one. This is 1945. This one is 1844. So this is 100 years prior. And you can see that's the groom and the bride, and they're taking the dowry back to their home. So that's a cow for milking, and this has all the furniture and all the stuff that they're gonna need here. Let me just pull up the translation for y'all fellas. And I'll go ahead and read this part right here. So it's from this section down to here, but what I'll do is I'll just keep the image up there for y'all. And it says La dot d'un paysan lucernoise. And that translates to the dowry of a peasant woman from Lucerne. So the dowry of a peasant woman from Lucerne is what this article is called. And let me just make that bigger for myself to read. And it says, the solemn day is drawing to its end. The sun sinks slowly behind the majestic peaks, tinting the eternal snows with the deep crimson glow. After the meal, the father and mother speak once more, their voices trembling with emotion, mingled with tender regret, heartfelt advice, and loving blessings. The time has come for the young bride to leave the chalet where she was born. Her dowry is ready, and it's no small thing. It would never fit into a city girl's dowry chest. Yet it's all the richer for being simple, more enduring, and far less likely to vanish through vanity or waste. It will stand as a lasting reminder to the young couple of their duties and their shared life together. And, you know, I think this is different from the city girl's dowry in that in urbanized settings, you know, this kind of changes over more to probably cash, you know, linens and cash. So it's more easily transferable than this, where this is all the expensive, you know, furniture and things that they're going to need to get their house set up. It all, you know, and also a milking cow, but we'll get in there. Okay. First comes the furniture, a sturdy wardrobe, a bed beneath the sign of the cross, and tender foresight, a cradle to follow them. A father's prudence has added every household tool, from kitchen to dairy to the fields. There's the wooden clock, and above all, like the proud banner on a humble ship carrying the couple's fortune, stand the spinning wheel and the distaff, symbols of order, diligence, and domestic virtue that will enter their new home along with the bride. Nor is that all. A hay cart, a good milking cow that can scarcely pull such a load of wealth, and a faithful dog unwilling to leave its mistress. All are part of the dowry too. The young woman standing beside the man who will now be her helper and protector points out each item with quiet pride, already knowing where everything will belong and how it will be used. One can almost hear her gentle, sensible words. The husband listens kindly and approves. They are about to begin a family, as their parents did before them. with little means, but with courage, modest tastes, and hearts that are simple and true. Peace dwells within them. The future smiles upon them. They have faith in life and in each other. I really like that last paragraph right there, because it really helps to emphasize how the dowry set up a new couple to be confident in their marriage and that they had what they needed to be successful. You know, it wasn't like romantic love throwing caution to the wind or one side needing to be a hero, basically. But that they're both, you know, working together and they can both be confident in each other. I'll read that last paragraph again. The young woman standing beside the man, who will now be her helper and protector, points out each item with quiet pride, already knowing where everything will belong and how it will be used. One can almost hear her gentle, sensible words. The husband listens kindly and approves. They are about to begin a family as their parents did before them, with little means but with courage, modest tastes, and hearts that are simple and true. Peace dwells within them. The future smiles upon them. They have faith in life and in each other. So I really like that one. That's going to be our last source for today. And then we'll go ahead and move over to our interview of Coach. Let me just check the chat one more time, and then we'll just casually do that. Let's see. Romantic love has always been a scam. Marriage is about duty and obligations to your children and family, not about love or fifis or anyone's happiness. Yeah, and, you know, there are different kinds of love, too. You know, there are a kind of familial love or things that develop in that way that is a little bit more balanced than your kind of whirlwind romantic love that is, you know, can be kind of chaotic. Funny thing is, since romantic love, everyone is miserable and divorced. Yeah, I mean, it's, I think the fruits of that are all around us. Facts, says username. So wait, if she's heavier, she's worth more gold? That doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, that's what it is. So if the dad had a daughter that wasn't as attractive, so, you know, she'd be less sought after, in order to get her married, he would make the deal better by giving her a larger dowry. And we read that in one of the old newspapers, quite literally that. So we have another, you know, we have a source on that. Lizzo's weight in gold. Yes, heavier the girl, the greater the dowry. I used to stay away from Lizzo-sized women. Klaus says username, and that's why the bigger girls have to bring more to the table. What's up, fellas? Hey, Mr. Pitt, welcome in, man. Luke Nielsen says hello, but he had to go. I can read it. Oh, you can read French. That's awesome, man. I like that. Mr. Pitt says Luke had to go, but said hello to you. Oh, thanks, Michael. Shah is really going into the archives. Yeah, I mean, well, with the help of folks, too. I mean, Peter Wright has found a lot of these good old articles. Michael Sayan says, bride price is opposite, heavier the gal, lesser the bride price. Shah randomly being fluent in French is a flex. I know very little French. Just probably enough to get around Paris if I had to. I like bride price better than money. Bride price better than. Oh, I'm sorry. I like bride price better than. Better than. Bride price equals fat tax. I hope you dipped out, but I know you dipped out, but I still... Oh, this is Mr. Pitt to Luke Nielsen. I know you dipped out, but I still wanted to say what's up. Hopefully you'll see this. If you watch this stream on replay, W. Luke. Absolutely. Shout out to Luke Nielsen. W. Michael Sand, W. Silverpill. Like the video. Yes, please, guys. If you can hit the like button, that would be especially helpful to me. So thank you for that. Okay. Oh, I see. It's the price the father, the bride pays the future husband. Well, that gets endowed onto the woman. So, yes, the husband does have usufruct of that. So, anyways, yeah, we're going to just casually get into this, guys. So, it might be a little bit of a shorter stream, depending on how far I want to go. But, you know, I kind of like these coach interviews that kind of turn up sporadically. And I think I think he does a good job of kind of like almost giving a state of the union, so to speak, or a state of the union of the dating market. And, you know, you guys know I'm a big fan of Coach. and I've watched him for some years now, and I've always appreciated what he had to say. And he talks about things like the dating market being monetized, and family law and its corruption, child support. He talks about all kinds of other aspects of dating, and the marriage wheel is something he created, which is very fun. He has a bunch of maxims that get thrown around the space. Men are in love, women are in business. Hopefully someday we can get men back into business too. But here's hoping. And just a bunch of things. So shout out to him. So we're just gonna enjoy listening to this, and I'll try to start it from the beginning. So maybe we'll do some polls also as we're going. See how you guys feel about some of the stuff he's talking about. And yeah, so let's get this.
Trying to survive social media. As I age and the algorithm changes, just survive.
Not a lot of people can survive demonetization, so well done. Demonetize you, people give up,
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think that's the point. They want to discourage you from making content. Just give it up. They don't want to ban you. I don't think they have a reason to, but I just think they're trying to discourage you.
Seems like everyone in the red pill space got hit with that, right?
Pretty much the big names did. There's some people that are still not demonetized, but I don't think they're making money from it.
You were the first though, right?
I was one of the first ones of the main people. I was before Tate, before Pearl, before Fresh and Fit. I was the one on the radar early after the adpocalypse. So I kind of came in after that, which was 2019. But then by 2021, I was the first one to get hit.
All right, guys. Coach Greg Adams here. Let's go, baby.
Let's do it.
Let's get it, man. What's new with you?
Man, trying to survive. Trying to survive social media. As I age and as the algorithm changes, just surviving.
Not a lot of people can survive demonetization, so well done.
Thank you, man. It's been years. I got demonetized first channel 2021, second channel 2022, and then
God, that's tough. I could only imagine how demoralizing that would be. And it is a huge feat to accomplish, to be able to figure out how to survive in the environment with no help from YouTube ads or super chats or whatever. But he figured it out, and gave a model to other folks to employ that if, God forbid, the same happens to them. Don Mark says, I'm French Canada. France hates on us. Coach is the man. Absolutely. Dowries with the girl brings to the table. Bride price is what the guy brings. Shout out to the dowry for putting men back in business and dating. Hit him with and there's nothing more important than marrying a wealthy woman.
And there's nothing more important than marrying a wealthy woman. As you get older, I'm going to teach you
tricks. My God. Yeah, I think a lot of the manosphere is focused on kind of at least, I don't know if they would say this, but when I look at them, I figured it's focused a lot more on the short-term relations between men and women. And what I've been doing is trying to look at the long-term deal. And that's something that I think a lot of the space has rightfully, diagnosed and said the deal isn't worth it for men. Very true. But also kind of given up on or said that it's not worth it. So that's where, I've kind of just been digging into things that are like, how did this work before? And if we look at a long-term monogamous situation, what is the way that would make most sense? So the dowry system, in my opinion, is really what enabled monogamy to work. And nowadays, we have so many people out there claiming, especially trad cons that'll say it's supposed to be like this, that kind of enable hypergamy and put the provisioning on the man, which to some extent, I get that, the man would then provision after the marriage, but at the start of the marriage, the woman's dowry played a very big role. So learning about that, I think, enables men to push back on tradcon shaming, and have some historical justification to do that. And then what that also does is I think it gives a lot of weight to what Coach is saying, because if they're offering an unfair monogamous long-term deal, then Coach is telling you, how do you survive in a market where they don't want to bring their half of the equation in a way that they're supposed to? So that's kind of the fun stuff, and that's sort of how I view, his work and how I view what I'm doing. Coach somehow avoided getting on that male supremacy list. Weird that he did. Yeah, I remember that DHA list, and it had, that might have just been a kind of hit list for people who were still monetized to get them demonetized, possibly. And at that point, Coach was already demonetized, so maybe they're just like, okay, well, I don't know. It seemed like it was going for people to try to get them in some kind of trouble or get eyes on them. I don't think people look at Coach as an activist, more just passing information. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not like like an MRA. I mean, he kind of, I think, came out of the MGTOW space, so he, knows like Paul Elam and all those folks. I remember he was already demonetized. That's why no win in listing him. Yeah, that's what it was. The FBI is concerned with the red pill because they believe they will start a civil war. It's possibly it. Those male supremacy lists are more concerned with movements. The dowry is the ultimate checkmate to any argument shaming men. Especially, well, that's how we kind of got into it, at least me, was because I was really looking at TradCons, and that was kind of what got my attention a lot, and it just sort of, I guess, all kind of just swirled together into that, because I was also looking at child support, and I kept going earlier and earlier into child support laws to figure out, okay, how did we get the child support system that we got? How did we get the child support system that we got? And then it just inevitably, I kind of found my way into this earlier system, and I was like, oh, okay, so it just sort of happened that way. And then I was like, oh my gosh. Klaus says, demonetize work just as well. That's what they're doing. Yep, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Rest of them, I tried to make more channels, and then they finally sent me a warning: stop making channels. So we gonna find you.
Yeah, that wipes a lot. It usually works for people.
Yeah, it
when
does.
They demonetize you, people give up.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think that's the point. They want to discourage you from making content. They're like, just give it up. They don't want to ban you. I don't think they have a reason to, but I just think they're trying to discourage you. Yeah,
seems like everyone in the red pill space got hit with that, right?
Pretty much, the big names did. There's some people that are still not demonetized, but I don't think they're making money from it.
You were the first though, right?
I was one of the first ones of the main people. I was before Tape, before Pearl, before Fresh and Fit. I was the one on the radar early, after the adpocalypse. So I kind of came in after that, which was 2019. But then by 2021, I was the first one to get hit.
I know there was a lot of people that kind of conspired against Coach too, and we reacted to his discussion on, like what ruined the manosphere. I can't remember exactly how it was titled, but he kind of gave a whole breakdown of how the manosphere kind of, I guess you could say, went down the wrong path or kind of causes a lot of issues for itself. And he did a recent stream. I was listening to this. I think it was yesterday's. Might have been yesterday's or the day before, but he was talking a lot about the early history and some of the people in the space that gave him trouble, and it's people that you and I, are both very familiar with. So that's unfortunate, and sometimes it's other men that go after men and just cause issues, whether they're red pill or not or whatever. The Michael Knowles and Matt Walshes of the world. Well, yeah, those would be the TradCons. But yeah, even red pillars can be problems. But yeah, this isn't who Coach was talking about, but yeah, as far as pushing back on these people who try to shame men for not taking a lopsided, deal that doesn't make sense. I can name a dozen names before his. Yeah, but I don't know. I think in the YouTube world, he was pretty early as far as that. Like, there's a lot of people before that were in forums and this kind of stuff. CGA, men are in love, women are in business. Yep, that's his.
Do you think it's just a bunch of women or your haters just mass reporting you, or do you think it was more planned out?
I'm still trying to find the answers. It could be haters, it could be feminists, it could be competition, it could be rival competitors within the space, because the space was definitely bringing in, at that time it was rising. There was a lot of competition to be the prime voice.
Right.
Kevin Samuels at the time was pretty popular, so people saw that there was possibilities to make money, and it could be competition from within.
Yeah,
just haven't figured it out. Could have been all of it at the same time.
Were you beefing with anyone back then?
I think people were beefing with me. I typically don't beef, especially if they're, I always say I didn't make my platform to argue with people about this particularly men to debate them. I didn't have a platform for that. I just wanted to say my piece and keep it moving. So I didn't beef with anybody.
Do you engage in debates?
I don't do too many debates. I've been surprised with some debates. I've showed up to.
That was the Hafiz debate. We actually reacted to that too a while back. That's where he was ambushed. I forgot what that show was called. It was one of those ones in Florida. I can't remember.
Platforms, and they had people there that were ready to debate me that had big names and recognition. I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess we're debating today.
Damn, who was it?
Might have been that guy that was with damn, I can't remember none of these people's names, which is almost a blessing, to be honest. Patrick Bet David, I think it was his co-host, possibly his co-host that ran a podcast. Saucecast, there it is. Thank you. My God. I abandoned a lot of those. I mean, I never really listened to them specifically so much, but I've unsubscribed from a lot of places myself, Yeah. Angry Casper says, don't get me wrong, CGA does work. 80% of Mano Swamp doesn't. The old MGTOW had a motto, say what you want to add and then be on your way. There was an interesting question as to why MGTOW guys eventually all go silent. That does sound very MGTOW-esque right there. Adam Sosnick. There it is. Yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah, one was Hafiz.
Yeah, there.
So he had the show The Roommates, and I got invited to Saucecast, Adam Sosnick with PBD, Patrick Bet David, and they invited me out. I was already speaking in Florida, so I drove up to Fort Lauderdale, and Hafiz was there. I'm like, what? So he was going in on me. I was like, I'm not prepared for this, but I did pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like debates aren't really valuable, most of them.
No, they end up turning into what I call ad hominem attacks, right? Unless there's a good moderator.
Yeah.
If there
Yeah, I can see that. I can get the positives of the debate, but a lot of times, I think it's just more so for the entertainment value of so-and-so smash this person. I think what it could kind of break down to is it's not really two people kind of working together for getting to a better understanding. It is two people who are very much invested in their side being right. So it's just, a bunch of just turd flinging, I guess you can say, and arguing to be right, but not for a shared goal of a greater understanding.
there's not a good moderator, it's just going to be a back and forth, and then people will pick out little small things, and that'll go viral.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these like debate tactics, like the professional debaters will do that. They'll hit you with like 5 different things at once, or they'll interrupt, and there's just a lot of insults being thrown. But that's the nature of the beast for that side of YouTube. Funny enough, Hafiz went silent, and he's no MGTOW. Yeah, I don't know if he was exposed to some kind of fraud or something, quite possibly, but he ended up leaving the space, I think. He basically lost when he debated Coach and disappeared just after. Well, yeah, there it is.
They're looking to get somebody smoked. Oh, they got the smoke. So they're not pretty valuable to me. I don't engage in them.
Yeah, because I'll watch Piers Morgan, like he's crushing it, but most of them I feel like it's just a screaming match, or it's just...
That's exactly who I was thinking about. I was thinking about Piers Morgan. And I get it. That gets the views. That's what people want to watch. They want to see people just destroy each other, I guess, their brands, and it's a sort of gladiator effect. I think whatever podcast kind of does a lot of that. Basically, that's kind of, it's sort of like, I kind of liken them to like sort of a boxing ring, and that's the entertainment. Shout out oikophobic misanthrope. Good to see you. We're just chilling.
Nonsense,
right? Especially if I think the commentator Piers Morgan or Nancy Grace, I'm like, they're there to kind of keep their platform going, so they're going to interject and not let you get your point out clearly.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't have any interest in going in that. Maybe I'll get some attention for a little bit, but it doesn't interest me much.
What's your core messaging for people seeing you for the first time right now? What are you really trying to emphasize?
All right. So for me, it's the free agent lifestyle. So that's the name of my book. And really, I'm trying to get men information as much as they possibly can related to relationships and marriage. So, I was married divorced, and I went through the divorce industrial complex, went through the child custody and the child support. And oftentimes in relationships, women can come out to be the victim no matter what. It's kind of,
You know, that was one of the reasons I always liked Coach, was because listening to him and listening to others, to me, it was just very obvious that he knew what he was talking about, because he had gone through it, and it was obvious that he did, because he knew what he was talking about. But I would hear others talk about child support, especially back then, like when I was still working there, and it just was not accurate, or you know, a lot of people would just say stuff and it was not right. But whenever I heard Coach talk about it, I could tell he knew the system and what was happening there. And he's the person who also equated high value man with high value target, which was something that I thought was missing from the space. And to me, that couldn't have been more clear, because I was spending a lot of time reading divorce judgments, and to me, looking at the numbers and the calculations, it was just really obvious, you know. So I had always appreciated him for putting those points out there.
like, you can't win. It's a catch-22 for young men. But a lot of young men aren't prepared for this. They want a fantasy. They think relationships are going to be fantasy and somewhat easy, and they don't have to change or improve. And then, you know, things happen and they wonder why. Oftentimes men don't talk to other men about it. They may talk to their mother, their sister, the girlfriend's friend. They don't seek counsel in other men. And particularly the reason why is because they don't want to be seen as they failed. They're weak.
You know, and that was one of the things too that I understood, you know, from working at child support, is a lot of men seem to be bought into this kind of fantasy, but you know, the fantasy gets broken and you see the reality of it when the divorce or the split happens. And I felt like a lot of men were just sort of culturally gaslit, if you want to use that kind of phrase, into taking a bad deal for themselves. And, you know, whether that's from cultural understandings of masculinity or what a man's supposed to be, typically from trad cons telling men to step up, you know, or being sort of enamored by this kind of romantic ethos. Paul Elam discusses that a lot. Yeah, Coach was going through it until just recently in terms of child support. He only recently got free from all that. Yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah, recently I know he's his kids are now adults, so he's past all that, which is a huge blessing for him.
So we bring the conversation and say, hey, as men, these things are happening. These things could happen or they will happen. So you better be prepared for it.
Right. And now you, after going through your divorce and seeing stuff, you believe dating is transactional now?
100% transactional. I mean, even all the way from the top. So we always say all men pay. So even if you're dating an escort or a sugar baby, that's the transactional relationships that people associate with. But when you're in a regular relationship, which we call normal relationship, it's pretty transactional as well. And it simply boils down to the maintenance of the relationship. Initially, there might not be a fee. Like, you're dealing with a sugar baby, it's going to be a fee, right? She's going to say X amount of dollars, right? You pay up. Where in a regular relationship, it may start off minimally, a date, a coffee, you know, a dinner, where some men have trouble with that. Well, initially, it might be a low cost. Then what'll happen is there's not a direct per play fee. However, there's maintenance. Oh, let's go to Cabo. Okay, how much is that going to cost between the both of you? Much of the expense is probably going to be the man handling the expense, getting a rental car. Okay, there's going to be things like, hey, my family's going to take a cruise. How much is that going to happen? You know what I mean? Then
you know, and the more that you're kind of with someone, especially from, you know, as a man with a woman, what happens is they're, especially if it seems cheap on the front end, it's like they're angling for locking the guy down, you can say, and trying to get him to pay on the other end. I actually, they deleted it. That's too bad. I should have screenshotted this one, but I didn't. I was going to share this one with you guys, but I can't, so that's too bad. But this whole post right here, it says, he's 28, won't marry me, but I'm really benefiting financially. And in the whole post, she was basically talking about how she plans to just keep having him pay her bills for the next couple of years till she graduates nursing school. And then she's going to break up with him, you know, right after she gets the job or whatever. And so it was really like a kind of admission that she has no problem, you know, doing that. And she was very, I guess you can say, realpolitik about it. But yeah, that's too bad. I knew I should have screenshotted it, but I didn't because I was like, well, I'll just chance it. But I had a feeling. I was like, damn, yeah, this is probably going to get deleted later. And it did. But these comments kind of can attest to me speaking the truth here. If you were 35 and wanted bio kids, I'd advise you to bite the bullet and end things now, but you're not. Sounds as though you've told him you want marriage and he's not on board. At some point, this will pretty much inevitably end, so better it be on your terms. That having been said, these marriage isn't for me guys have a tendency to change their minds fast if the one comes along. So, okay. And these are all, this is just kind of showing the culture we live in, because these are all women. Look, 291 upvotes. They're all, you know, about it. I think you have a great plan. I wouldn't break up financially supportive and happy relationship when you need it most. If you were to part ways now, you admit you would be struggling. Spending your savings, stressed out, and overall busier supporting yourself, so it doesn't sound like you would have a lot of time to date, to find, or even time to give up to a new partner now if you found one. You're under 30. You'll be fine waiting for graduation. And, you know, so the boyfriend's going out with this woman, and he has no idea that she's looking at it so pragmatically, which is, you know, men should be looking at. He's looking at it a little pragmatically in the sense that he doesn't want to get married to her. But what's interesting to me is that, you know, there's a lot of women who have done this also to men within a marriage, in the sense of, and you've heard plenty of stories like this in the space where the guy's like, oh man, I did everything for her. I paid for her school. And then when she got the job, like, you know, she divorced, or right after she graduated, she divorced. I mean, I've known people like that, who, you know, their wives went through pharmacy school or whatever, and then they got divorced, like right before all that stuff kicked in. You know what I mean? So then they take half of the stuff from the marriage, and now they have their job and that. So it's not something that we, you know, haven't heard of before. Presumably he is getting something from this relationship. If he is willing to pay most bills, seem consensual on both sides, maybe he'll miss you when you're gone, or maybe this is the extent of the relationship for you both. It's good to have a plan and know your limits. And so basically what this is sugar babying, right? Like that's what this is, right? That's a sugar baby, but the guy might not know he's got a sugar baby living with them, essentially, right? Unpopular opinion, but I think you actually have your head on straight. No, this is probably very popular now. He's a good boyfriend for now, and unlike many posts here, he's supportive in paying the bills while you're actually benefiting, can focus on school. Plus, he's benefiting too. He gets meals, companionship, and intimacy. You're not leading him on. You want marriage. He doesn't. He's just comfortable where he's at. He's getting the wife benefits without the wife, so you can get the husband benefits without the husband. Two can play this game. So anyways, yeah, I wish I could have read that post to you guys, but it's gone. So that's just how it goes. Well, some of the weddings are a hefty entry fee too. Yes, very much so. No paying for significant bills for a chick you're dating. Come on, y'all. Yeah. He'll learn. If anything, it's probably best that he's not getting married to her. You know, God forbid she fails nursing school and then says, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And then, you know, convinces him otherwise. But that's the level of sort of scheming that, you know, occurs every day in relationships today.
Talk about rent and expenses. These things are going to add up significantly over time. But is the relationship going to be maintained if you remove that? If you said, I'm no longer going to pay half for all of the rent, do you keep the girl 2 years down the line? Possibly not. She may say part of the deal was you're going to pay half or full part of the rent.
See that? So the guy in that, or the lady in that Reddit thread is kind of, you know, proving this right.
So if you remove that one thing, the relationship pretty much is going to be torpedoed in a short order. She might start to look for your replacement. In that case, that relationship, little did you know, was transactional.
Wow.
So it was over the minute you said, I'm not going to start paying this. I'm not going to pay half of the air conditioning bill. You let 2 air conditioning bills run by in Las Vegas. Guess what? She's like, wait, I'm not paying $300 a month by myself. And if you said, well, I can't pay it, pretty soon you're going to realize that she might stop sleeping with you. She might stop engaging with you. She might start looking for your replacement. So at that point, the relationship was predicated on the money.
See, and this is where the guy in that Reddit thread that she's talking about, at the very least, he's not married to her. So when it's time to go, it's just going to be easy for her to take her stuff and go. But if that guy was married to her, you know, then maybe if her nursing career was making as much money as him, at least it would be less painful. But in this case now, they're not married, you know, so she can just leave now. We are a far cry away from you know, from that. And that is, you know, their mindset there. So Coach does an amazing job of breaking that down. I always like the he gets meals and companionship argument. Give me a break. Nobody needs your lousy meals or companionship. Yeah, that's the interesting thing too, especially when it comes to companionship and intimacy and sex. Those are supposed to be things that both people are sharing in equally. If anything, she's the one getting the meals because he's paying for them. But you know, that's how they want to sell it. And this is where Coach's men are in love, women are in business, you know, really comes into play. I always have this thought that when women are very realpolitik about the sex like that, it's because I don't know, maybe they're just not getting off during it. But, you know, of course, there's people who are like, he just wasn't hitting it right or something. But it's funny how they're like, well, he's getting this. I don't know. That's just how it goes, though, at least nowadays.
That was a big part of why she selected you.
So that being said, what do you think the optimal approach is when it comes to modern day dating?
Well, I would say don't plan on being with someone that long.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a series of women.
I hope that guy that you know is the object, you know, that's being discussed in that Reddit thread is somebody who listens to Coach, because he's gonna know how to deal with this. My golden retriever is by my side now. Pretty good companion. Just date. Companionship comes with time. Don't rely on them for that. And cooking, yeah, please, yeah. I mean, I doubt it. I doubt her cooking's that amazing.
Wow.
So you're gonna have a series of relationships. Most people have a series of relationships. Just take, for instance, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos just married a woman who had 5 top-tier men as relationships. So that woman was shared by 5 different men, and the richest man in the world had to take that woman and wife her. So we have a phrase, she's not yours, she's ours. The Y is silent. Okay, so we're kind of going to be, you're going to have her for a little bit. The next man is going to have her for a little bit. The next man is going to have her for a little bit. We call this...
Elon Musk, even, I know he's talking about Bezos, but Elon Musk is kind of doing this. He's definitely doing the concubine model there. But even with him and that Ashley Sinclair woman, I mean, she's gotten what she needs and now it's done. You know, she's not there for him now. She's just there to extort what she can now through the child.
In our simple terms, monogamy. This is monogamy to some people. But it's not. It's temporary sexual exclusivity. So we temporarily share people sexually over time, and we patch this up as going through romantic relationships.
I think they call it serial monogamy now.
Oh, we're just learning about each other, and this one failed. Okay, I got a next one, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So most people, at best, particularly women, are going to have a series of men. A small percentage of men are going to have the majority of women, and then that larger group of men are just going to have what they can get. All right, every now and then. Sometimes it might not appear transactional. Sometimes she might say, you know, I really love you. But that's after a series of guys. Okay, she might fall down to you, and you might get the opportunity to pick that up for a little bit. How long can you maintain that? Well, how many times have you heard of people having 50-year anniversaries? 40, 30.
Not many.
20.
Concubines at best at this point. Not wives, but concubines. And that's for tradcon marriages too. Modern marriage is a total scam that favors women all the way to the bank. Most women are always looking for a replacement who has more money and status. Or once they get theirs and they get comfortable, then it's like, okay, it's time to dip off. You know what I mean? And that's that. Orem, hey Orem, good to see you. I'm monogamous with cereal. I only eat granola. I'm gonna assume that's a code word for something.
Not many people make it past 12, 15, 7, 8. Then they go to the next person, then the next person. So that's pretty much what I would anticipate modern relationships to be. And the more we do the idea of women getting married late and men getting married late, that means they're coming in with a series of past relationships by the time they get to 30. Then the average time that they spend married could be 7 to 8 years.
That's about so on average. And you know, unlike the past where the negotiation was up front, nowadays, people are, you know, sort of have the wool pulled over their eyes and they find out how much they got to pay on the back end. And then that's where all the it's funny because most of the upset, especially when it comes to the manosphere, is about the divorce grape. And of course there's people who are upset that on the front end dating is something that they would say is not fair. But some of the most nightmare stories are from guys explaining what happened to them in the divorce. And, you know, it really is about the money and about how much they got messed up in court. And it's just funny because that same discussion, what used to happen at the beginning of the marriage. And you had something called a marriage settlement. We have collectively forgotten the word marriage settlement. All we know now is divorce settlement. You know, which is sad, but marriage settlement was the first time negotiation. You know what I mean? Like this right here this is the settlement. You know what I mean? And let me see if I have some of those other pictures. It'll probably be there's a couple of marriage contract signings that were also pretty good, right? Like this one. See that. The marriage contract document was a marriage settlement document. And it's funny because when I worked at child support and I read divorce judgments, it was always, this is the divorce settlement. Like, okay, here's the divorce judgment and then here's the divorce settlement attached. And let's see the breakup of the assets. But for thousands of years, you went into a marriage with a marriage settlement. So see, right now they're working on the marriage settlement agreement. They're getting the marriage settlement figured out right now. So we lost an entire, you know, word there. But yeah, so Marshall settlement. Is that the new one with the state backing it? Yeah. So utterly pointless. Just play video games. Well, listen, man, you got to stay gaming, bro. Dontavius told us.
You got to stay gaming, bro. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
Just stay gaming, man. We got the whole retro setup right behind me. The whole retro setup is there.
So that means 38, they're getting divorced. Then they're going to find another person or go back and have a series of relationships and possibly get remarried again. That's the future.
Right. So are you upfront with the new woman you meet? You're like,
see, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of people, they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and we just live in this kind of gray area. You know what I mean? So it's like I really believe people just want to be lied to and they just learn to lie. And that's where the cosplaying comes in. You know? And it's just about, I feel like doing this now, so let me just make it seem like I've been about that, you know, for the longest time or something like that. And you know, there's something, actually I sent this to Caesar Quintana. And I want to play it. I want to play it for you guys. Let me just send it to myself. Actually, I can probably just put it on my playlist right now. And I don't know why. It just seems like people who talk about this stuff, they just, oh, he sent me this one. I sent him one from Twitter. Okay, I remember now. He sent me another one. Sorry, guys. React. This right here. Like, I don't know. Like, let me put a poll up. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have, like, some serious trust issues. I don't know. Do you guys get the impression they are being fake or inauthentic? I'm just going to leave it as a yes or no. But it's like, when I hear this, I just can't help but get that impression. So I'll play it for y'all now.
A father's closeness to his daughter sets her reproductive trajectory.
Whoa.
Remarkable.
Like when that guy said, whoa, I was like, what in the fake acting is that? Can we listen to that? That needs to be a sound effect on this channel.
Father's closeness to his daughter sets her reproductive trajectory.
Whoa.
Remarkable. So what he's meaning is...
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's just like the TradCons, something just seems... just, I don't know, so inauthentic. And it's like, it feels so fake and plasticky. I hate to get feelings on you guys, but I can't shake that just gut instinct.
The likelihood of a girl engaging in more dangerous or risky sexual behaviors is dramatically increased when she has not experienced the closeness of a relationship with a father. The love of a father, and it's his being present in the family, married, but also his...
I mean, well, then she better start talking about, custody court and what they do to fathers every day. Haven't heard that yet in this entire 25 seconds.
Closeness to her gives her a sense of what masculinity feels like, that is truly loving, that's not interested...
Doll in the eyes, man. This woman, even though she's a TradCon, got the same eyes as the 1,000 cock stare ladies do. Something going on here. Whoa!
In taking advantage sexually.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. This dude looks like, I don't know, man. Something about this guy. Looks a little salesman-y, let me tell you.
It's like a foundation.
A foundation. Almost like she walks out...
Oh, like a foundation.
Outside of that house with like an armor, in a sense. I know who I am. I know what love feels.
All TradCons kind of come off that way to me. And it's like, I feel bad, I guess, for feeling that way. I just can't shake that,
Like, that is truly interested. And I don't have to seek...
This person's lying right now.
...for something that's a distorted form of that. Which I think can happen, right, in this quest to find male love. Where is true male love?
Where is true male... Like, where are you at fighting the family court, for what they're doing to fathers? Where, it's just yet another men need to step up. Men need to step up and be there and this and that.
Lead her on a path that's
and be better leaders and, you got to be present. Hard to do that when you got a temporary restraining order on you that literally are false accusations and you can't do nothing about for 6 to 8 weeks till the court finally hears it, at which time they'll be somewhere else with the child support order on you.
Risky. So fathers matter.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the pandering. Yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, what is the deal with this? Like, something there just seemed quite strange. So, all right. Let's get back to where we're... you know what? Let me just check on the chats real quick. Okay, I've never heard of the marriage settlement. Yeah, the marriage settlement. Yeah, that was a thing. Bring back the marriage settlement. Yeah, we need the marriage settlement back. Jim dates dog, friends, repeat, not getting caught up relationship-wise. It takes a while to get there. Make it a good deal. Absolutely. I like that, man. Just stay gaming, bro. Women have 1 foot and 1 foot out from the beginning. That's just it's a good cosplay. Yep, they have to show me 2 feet in before I get into it. A dowry will help with that.
Your dowry, it's my right.
Whoa! They know the truth, but are in denial. I can make that sound effect. Just drop the link in the original Discord. Okay, heck yeah. Let me do that real quick, actually. I'm going to take you up on that, Mr. Pitt. I appreciate that, by the way, man. I really appreciate you going through the trouble. I just have, sometimes I say I'm going to do it, and then I don't go back there. Here, let's just hear that. Whoa! One more time. Hold on one second.
Her reproductive.
And, you know, it's another way of taking the accountability away from the woman, too. The father was
A father's closness to his daughter sets her reproductive trajectory.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa, dude. All right, let me just, let me get that for you. Copy link. Oh, gosh. I'm gonna DM that one to you, Mr. Pitt. There you go. Thank you for that, Mr. Pitt. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Why don't they fight the family court then? Exactly. Both of them are salesmen for sure. There's a lot of data about this though. That's fine, but you know, they're not getting to what's causing the dad not being there. Serve harder. Username, when women start telling men how to be men, we go ahead and ignore each thing they have to say. Yeah, and to be honest, it's like they probably want the guy to be like a blue-pilled simp for the daughter. You know what I mean? Which is just also, the other side of that is going to be blowing up the daughter's sense of entitlement, you know, to expect the kind of romantic ethos from a future husband. And then it just starts the cycle all over again. That's just as fake as the talk about legacy. You can't build a legacy when your kids are taken away. Exactly. Both are happy to speak to a man's role so they can send them into the grinder. Very true. Ignore everything. LOL, fathers matter. Where else you going to get your money? Man, I've been seeing a lot of stories. I mean, Robert, if we take that on a societal level about the SNAP benefits ending, and that is provided by essentially men paying, a lot in taxes in order to subsidize that. And it's like the SNAP's going away, and then there's all these TikToks about, people panicking. I mean, they'll probably figure out a budget here real soon, and then it'll go back to whatever it was. Yeah, the way she frames it is weird. Exactly. I know Kung Fu. Shout out Matt Vilney. Did you add the women sound effect from last week? I don't know if I added that one. I added the one you gave me today. I did put that in there. I don't think I did, man. I'm sorry. I got to put that in there. Her dad set her reproductive trajectory. I don't know if that's gross or not. It's definitely very weird. It's definitely very weird. It's just another way of blaming the men. Username, why wouldn't a woman blame a man for another woman's bad behavior that she did because she wanted to? Yeah. Cesar Quintana with the super chat. Thank you, sir. That clip, I also feel, is a way to indirectly blame men. Yeah, exactly. Like, if a woman is a 304, it's because of her dad. It can't possibly be she wants to be a 304. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's like, mom leaves, accuses dad of whatever the hell it is. Dad can barely be in the kids' lives. The daughter grows up to do this kind of thing. And then dad gets blamed again. Well, you weren't there. Well, it was a little difficult to do that. 100%. Thank you again for the super chat, Caesar. 100% there are women from intact two-parent families who just want a 304 by their own admission. I forgot about that. That's true. And they've done interviews with nudie stars who have said that. Like, nah, I grew up pretty normal. I came from like a very normal, my dad was a pastor. Like, there are some that will say stuff like that. And they're just like, I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? But, later on, once they go for the trad grift, then it's going to be, but, they just weren't there, even though they were there the whole time. But they weren't there. Yeah, they weren't there emotionally. It's going to be something like that. Only single moms are mad at the SNAP benefits ending. Now they need a man. It's crazy, man. And this sounds insane. And part of me feels like a little bad to think it. But I was thinking about this last week about how if milk ever went to $8 a gallon, that would be one way to get people behaving traditionally. Cost of living and stuff like that's going up, but it's just like, if it ever got that expensive, part of me feels like I'd drop to my knees and just praise, the creator of the universe for giving us such a good opportunity and all this, just the starting reactants we need to get this chemical reaction going back into traditionalism. Like, yes, milk is $8 a gallon. Thank God. Finally. eggs are, 17 bucks a dozen. This is exactly what we needed. As crazy as that sounds. Father Harder, bro. Nala's dad was a pastor. Yeah, there's a lot of examples. I mean, of just them saying they came from a 2-parent home. So that's where it gets even more odd. That's why she's so good on the TradCon train. Oh yeah, I guess I could see that because she kind of grew up with at least knowing how to speak the language a bit. Don DeMarco said a girl on the last whatever podcast admitted to getting a fake ID to enter into the corn industry at 16. Oh my gosh. Came from a good home too. Dang. That's terrible. See, that's because people's kids are being raised by the internet, by Reddit. It's like when they want to do something that their parents won't let them, they're going to go on Reddit and they're going to be like, hi, what do you guys think about this? They're going to go to the Reddit hive mind and they're going to make a post, and then they're going to get thousands of upvoted comments that are going to be like, oh, you don't need to listen to them. That's messed up. You know what I mean? And then it's just they're going to use their internet collective hive mind to tell them how to get them off the proper track that their parents who actually care about them want them to be on. Oh, let me just end this poll real quick. Thanks for the likes. We got 20 likes. Shout out to the 29 viewers out there. Out of 12 votes, 100% said that you guys also get the impression that they're being fake or inauthentic. Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes feel bad. I'm like, man, is this just my, do I just have a bias here? But it always seems so fake and plastic like that. My oldest daughter made a habit of blaming me when she talked to me. I'm happy for the silence. Man, that's tough right there, Oram. That's honestly tough, man. And I really appreciate you sharing that because you're being real about how many men go through this kind of thing here. Mr. Pitt says, if what the lady in the video was saying has truth to it, you would see father absence in 97% of mattress actresses. Sorry, that's the first I've seen that term. Username says, there's no feminism in third world countries. Feminism is a luxury of the US and Western countries. No feminism when the war starts. Women reset right back to default settings. I mean, yeah, once it gets tough like that. Listen, unless they can tax the hell out of guys to subsidize the $8 gallons of milk, at a certain point, that whole thing's going to have to give, and then it'll be right back to behaving. Don DeMarco said in 10 years, she'll minimize the fact she got a fake ID and say her brain wasn't developed or whatever. Yeah, there'll be somebody to blame there. All right.
Yo, this will only last a little bit. What do you say to them, I guess?
Well, I guess the basic message from me is to say that I wouldn't tell them that I don't anticipate it lasting long, but I don't go in full with both feet and say, you know what, you could be my final person that I ever date. All right. You could be the final woman that I ever sleep with. I'm not anticipating that. I don't think it's going to be the case. And I'm not an easy person to date. So I don't think they're going to last very long because I have a lot of things that I want to make sure that if I do commit to this person, that these things are in order before I commit. So I'm going to do a lot of vetting, and I won't hide the vetting that I'm doing. I'm going to be pretty aggressive with my vetting to the point where
I really like that. I think this is a great point Coach is making right here. And I heard this part of the discussion before, and he suggests some things that, I've never thought of and I think are really interesting.
A lot of women will run. All right. They're like, what? You want to look at what? No. We're not going to do all of that. You don't need to know all of that. That was in my past. But as we say, men invest in a woman's past, right? That's what we're investing in. We want to know what potential dangers did I have to protect myself from in her. For the men, the women are investing in our future. So they want to start from day one. I met you on day one. When I met you, that's our future. All right. And then everything else before that is what she's there for. Right. She don't care about the past. She don't care. You could be a criminal. All right. She don't care. She wants to know from you if it's beneficial for her to be with you from that day forward. Men work from that day past. Right. That's going to tell us the future is going to look like.
A woman's past matters a lot, right?
It does. And the fact that they don't want it to matter is a red flag.
That's concerning to me.
It's a red flag. Because once you listen, I'm going to tell you, I do a lot of vetting with women. I go through, I do a deep dive if they allow me to, which is very rare. All right. Which is very rare. And when they do,
because for the most part, they're probably doing this.
They do find that it's going to be very intensive. So I do look at their Cash App. I do look at their Ubers. All right. I'll go and look at their Uber. I'll look at their Instagram. I want to see where they stop, where they go eat. All right. I might look at their Uber Eats. I might look at their Bluetooth. All right. So let me see what that Bluetooth looks like. Okay. Look at all these Maseratis.
Oh, that's
and
smart.
Look at all these.
See, that's very creative thinking right there. And it's interesting too, because it's like, okay, so what are you doing in all those cars? And you connect it to the Bluetooth, and it reveals a lot of things. That's very sharp. It's very sharp.
Lamborghinis and Porsches. Look at all these places that you have attachments to these Bluetooths. All right.
So, a women, they have their phone and they have all these apps that make these things possible. But when they ask for wanting more of a commitment from you, then it's time to, okay, let's look at their receipts now. Let's look at their receipts, and it'll all be there to see.
So you're going to see addresses. You're going to see her behavior. You're going to see how she moves. She might say, oh, I'm a homebody. Let me see what that Uber looks like. Don't look like you're at home. I see Caesar's Palace. All right. I see Mandalay Bay. I see Bellagio. All right. I've seen these stops. What are you doing there? I see this bar. I see those little, places where you go play video poker. Don't look like you're at home. And I also require them to share their location so I can see how they move during the week, because I'm not going to be with them. But I do want to see where they, at 1 a.m., if they're going to make a stop at 7-Eleven, or they're going to go to the nightclub if they're going to Dre's. So I'm going to see that at least, or attempt to.
I like that. I think that's like a very modern, up-to-date version of doing some vetting there. So that's pretty cool. And he's talking about, I think, just committing to someone. Well, obviously, I don't think he would be interested, obviously, in signing marriage contract or anything like that. So he's talking about a long-term relationship in general. One thing for me that I would add to the list, and I've said it, before, and I said it on my interview with Pearl, is to look at their credit report. That's going to tell you everything. I would never dare marry someone without looking at that. I mean, it can be if you show me yours, I'll show you mine situation. Because I want to know exactly how much debt they're in, and all that stuff that they're involved in. Because when you guys get married, then that's going to affect your life. Yes, I know if it's before the marriage, then it's still their debt, but it's still going to affect your guys' lifestyle in the marriage. And whatever your two incomes are, where that money is going to be going to pay this off, so that was something that an old trainer of mine, when I first got hired at child support, would always tell the new trainees. She'd be like, I want to see the credit report. Don't be afraid to say that. Say, I want to see your credit report. She was this kind of funny lady. And I couldn't agree with that more. So the stuff Coach is talking about is pretty cutting edge, but don't forget about something like the credit report, especially if you're considering, doing legal stuff together. Let's see. Orem says the annoying thing is we get blamed for breaking up the families and being distant, when we really have no control over the situation most of the time. Yeah, that's the crazy part about it. And that was missing from that TradCon clip we just watched. GTFO, hey, why'd you leave? Well, yeah, I mean, you got forced out of the house. Wait till Coach talks about the Bluetooth check. Yeah, that was good. Yep, I Hate You, Don't Leave is a real book title. Username, I don't tell women that I'm vetting them or how I'm vetting them because they're sneaky. If they know, they'll play the role and finesse you later. I'm sure they will do everything to guard against, getting found out. Mr. Pitt says, pay attention to when your girl's phone automatically connects to Wi-Fi. It means she's been there before. That's another good one. Bluetooth check her Bluetooth connections to see if she's a win. That's another good one, Mr. Pitt. Avoid college-educated women. You will thank me later. Trust me on this. Take it from someone who used to only date college-educated women. She didn't know anything when I didn't know anything. Got it. All right. Let's move back in.
And of course, there's messages and, you got to do a deep dive. Very few women want me to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to give up the ghost. All right. I'm going to see past lovers. I'm going to see people they were in situationships. I'm going to see all kind of things that I'm going to question. And I'm saying, if it is you that want to be in a relationship with me, which is normally the case, they're the ones kind of pushing it because that gives them a chance to be kind of safe from the streets.
It really is. I mean, I think most of us guys here who've dated have probably at one point or another, you know, got the "what are we" conversation. Where is this going? And, you know, receive some pressure to put a title on something.
Right? They can get a break from the carousel. They don't have to, you know what I mean? They're out here going from date to date to date to date. So they get tired. They get dating fatigue. At that particular point, now I can say, okay, I'm going to be a rest haven for you. Am I a pit stop or is this real? This is going to show me if it's real.
Do you allow them to go through your phone?
Absolutely not. All right. So yeah, that don't matter to me. You know, you're like, you know, no. So for me, I often talked about, you know, what's considered monogamy, who's going to be faithful and that type of thing. I don't ensure monogamy on my side. Now, this is problematic. And for them, I say, listen, if you don't accept that, that's completely fine. All right. I'm not there for that. So if that's what you want, that's what you would have to ensure me. Down the line, she may provide enough for me to not want to go seek this out. But I'm also not just dating around just to date around.
I would say, especially if you're paying for everything, then that would be polygynous on his end and monogamous on hers. But really polygynous because that's one man with multiple women. Then, you know, then you're paying for everything, you know, and that would even match with that, even from a bride price perspective. If you guys are both monogamous and she's getting you to be monogamous, then this is where things like the dowry are important, because that is the type of relationship that wealth transfer was associated with. So you're going to be provisioning resources for her long term. She's coming in with the dowry that's commensurate with your earning potential.
But I also travel a lot, so I do have needs. And if she's not there to facilitate that, maybe she has a career. Maybe she works 60 hours a week. Maybe she just isn't in the mood. Well, in those cases, I can't be with a person like that. I've been married before, trust me. I would never put my sexual gratification in the hands of one woman. Never.
I have heard that men are biologically made to reproduce, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could talk about that, but we also seek sex for pleasure almost exclusively. Sometimes it's for procreation, but for men, it's almost 100% pleasure. For women, it's not. There's a variety of reasons why they have sex.
Really?
Yeah. They can have it for pleasure. They can have it to secure a man. They can have it also to apologize. All right. Like they can have sex to apologize. They can have sex. Well, they say, oh, I pity this guy. All right. Or they can have sex to reproduce. There's a variety of reasons to do that. They can have sex to basically work their way up to a relationship. There's a lot of reasons why they have it. Men have it specifically for pleasure. Like we're just trying to get pleasure and that's it. It's not a loving thing. A woman can say, hey, I want to draw this man closer to me. I want a relationship with this guy. Right. So she will probably use sex.
A tool. Men are in love. Women are in business. That sounds like a further iteration of that. Women always want men who could cheat on them. They never want to be your only option for sex, even if they'd never admit it. Comfort kills desire. She needs to have competition anxiety. If she makes more money than you, it's fine, though. At the very least, you're shielded from certain things as far as the law goes.
I always say they can use it as an apology because they typically never really truly apologize. However, they may say, hey, I'll make myself available to you tonight.
And a lot of guys fall for that.
And they're going to fall for that. And they lose leverage because what they'll do is they don't realize it's an apology. And so they will go through.
It's basically kind of failing a shit test and giving in. And then it's like, oh, well, since you gave into that, you have kind of cemented the relationship yet again and said that the status quo was fine, basically. American people ate sex only. Hate fuck, love fuck. Oh my gosh.
The act. And then the woman will be like, hey, we're all fair now, right? Everything's okay now. And then you're like, no, I want to still talk about what happened yesterday. She's like, why? We were just intimate together.
Yeah.
We're over that. We've moved past. Let's move forward. So they will use it as a means to apologize and move forward.
Yup. And I know we're talking down on women, but I think men need to take some accountability too.
Of course. When it comes to sex?
Yeah, they can't control their sexual urges.
They can't. There's no discipline around it, which is number one, is a problem. Number two, their problem with it is related to how they muddy up the relationship marketplace, right? So there's a lot of guys that use sex to take advantage of women, right? They use it. They're not true and faithful to the woman. They're not.
Right.
They're not.
I think I think you might be talking about the game guys.
They'll lie to them, manipulate, and I don't like that at all. I'm like, be upfront.
See, you know, that's something I was thinking about earlier. If we live in a culture where people demand a very high price, like women, if they feel entitled to something that maybe isn't really what is commensurate with their worth, but they put a high price, men who are then put in a desperate position will then lie to, you know, pretend to be the high value guy. I think that's where like terms like peacocking were back then. And inevitably, if you're like this, you know, that's how I think women end up in this, oh, you know, all men are liars kind of thing, is because they think they deserve a lot more, and they put that out there, and then some guy just games them enough, kind of Tinder swindler style, I guess you can say. And then they get lied to. On the other end, men get lied to too. I mean, you know, the women sit there and like, I'm a trad wife, and pretend all this stuff. And then you're living in this kind of ignorance, and they take advantage of that. And then, you know, all of a sudden, the cosplay, they don't care about keeping up the facade anymore once it's too late. The cause thing is because cause makes them feminists, and I hate feminists. Shout out to username.
What they'll do is they'll muddy up the water of available women that could be good, and they'll take advantage of it, which makes it, then she's going to put up a wall for the next guys. Right. It's going to make it difficult for the next guys. She's going to not trust. She's going to be screwed over. And then at that point, these guys have made the marketplace a little bit harder.
Yeah, and I've seen you talk about this. 80% of women want 20% of men. Right. And a lot of those 20% of guys are like rich, successful guys, and they're just seeing it as sex, right?
Exactly.
They don't actually love most of these girls.
Yeah, they're seeing it because of this.
Your dowry, it's my right.
They don't have that, you know? So the guy gets to a place where he finally has something. Okay, he's improved, and he's become this high value man, probably in his mid 30s now, unless you're very exceptional in your 20s. And at that point, it's why commit to one woman who has not much else to offer than other women around him? The only way that commitment happens is from this.
Which one of these broads has the richest father?
If you're going to do long-term monogamous commitment and you're going to do that, that corrects this imbalance. So, you know, the promise of feminism really was that, okay, they were going to push away the dowry system. Women were going to be working, and that they were going to contribute equally since they'd be working. But that hasn't happened. Even women with, you know, decent jobs will sit here and they want to be a cross. Okay, a cross is one thing, or they want to aim as high as they can. And then men on the other side are gaslit into, well, you need to be the masculine one, and you need to do this, and you need to provide that. And it's just a trash deal. So at a certain point, they're just like, whatever, I'm just going to run through these ladies. You know, if you have the markers of a successful man that they're trying to lock down, and everybody just gets played and lied to. I don't think you need to pass the shit test by proving you can cheat. That's not something I would do, and I'm not good at lying. I made sure she knows I go back to single instantly if needed. Can you put this video in the description so I can like it later? I want to check out the channel. Oh, this video. Yeah, no problem. Well, I can't add it to the description right now, but what I can do is put it in the chat for you. His name is Digital Social Hour Podcast. You can also, I think I tagged him in the title, so you can click on that, but I'll put that in there. I usually just tag the creators. Let's see. So there you go. You can find it from there. Yeah, I don't like the I can cheat thing either. I'll just bounce. Okay, moving in.
At all. Now, the problem with it is, what are they supposed to do? Turn it down? Right? So, I mean, here's the woman making herself available. Now, what'll happen is they don't know why she's truly there. Is she truly there for love? Is she just there for the recreational part of it? Most of the time, the woman's trying to get something in addition from the intimacy, right? She maybe want to be a girlfriend, a wife, a regular. She may want to get paid. She might want something from it, Whereas she might hide those intentions. The guy never takes time to find it out. And then they go ahead and do what it is. It's easy. And then after the fact, there's an after payment where she may become a stage 5 clinger. She might say she was sexually assaulted, right? There's some things that follow that the guy's normally not prepared for. She might say she was drunk and not conscious enough to consent. There's some things that can happen. She may say, oh, I didn't know you were married, and call your wife, right? So there's a lot of things that happen as a result that he didn't take the time to figure out. So yes, 80% of men are invisible to women. However, they make themselves available easier to the top 20% of men. However, there's still problems. Look at Diddy.
See, if people, I think, were actually, the dowry conversation is interesting to me because I think it reveals whether or not people want to be monogamous or not, actually. And the reason I say that is because if you present high value man with the deal that makes rational sense to take, which is a woman with the commensurate dowry that justifies being monogamous to, given your earning potential and what's actually happening. If those men are locked down by commensurate dowries, then that fixes the market for everybody else's. That creates a positive assortative match because now you have successfully wrangled the high value man into a monogamous position. And that's how society did it before, right? See, this is how dowry checks hypergamy. And what this does is it also lets other women know that they can desire a high value man, but if they don't have the commensurate dowry, they won't be much more other than a concubine or, you know, a prostitute, someone to just lay with, and maybe he'll break them off some 20s or whatever. You know what I mean? Then it's common sense, you know, at that point. It's like, okay, you know, the Cinderella story isn't going to happen, so to speak. And then when it comes to the 80% of everybody else, which includes women, then it would make more sense on how a monogamous pairing off would be. But if high value men see that and they still refuse that, then we can accept at least that, okay, we're no longer monogamous and the people here don't want to be monogamous, both men and women alike. But the fact is calling the women or pushing out on the women is one thing, but also taking a hard look at these high value men and seeing what they're doing is something that's really important too. If you were going to, you know, if the market was ever going to be reset or had a chance to do that. But that's really how that would work, you know.
There's a guy who just got convicted of, we call it grape. He was a former NBA player. So, and he had a girl at a house party. She was laying there. They became intimate. And she said, oh, I was too drunk to consent. Now he's going to prison.
Wow.
So, yeah, the 20% of men are having...
See, and one thing, you know, this whole thing, this gray area and this sort of revoked consent, on the one end, it's like, this is all part of that gray area spectrum, you know? The only reason that is a possible, I mean, one of the reasons is because prostitution is technically illegal. That NBA player could be like, damn it, I need to get my rocks off, and he can go somewhere and have a square deal somewhere. And that's it. He can then go back home or whatever, and he doesn't have to worry about he doesn't have to worry about getting Shannon sharped. You know what I'm saying? But instead, it's like we live in this gray area where romance has muddied marriage, it's muddied prostitution, and it's muddied everything in between, where in the past, those were two separate lanes that had, you know, a very well-defined divide between them. You know, this is the marriage lane, this is the prostitution lane. And then it became dating as a spectrum from all the way here to here. And there are people getting married that then get screwed over. And then there are people that are engaging in these kinds of short-term affairs with women that end up getting screwed over. So, you know, I think it serves as maybe a kind of regulator or something on this whole market. But with, you know, marriage being kind of hollowed out by the romantic ethos, and which, you know, I think led to the family laws we have in some ways, and then also prostitution on the other end being banned, it's just a giant cluster F at this point.
Majority of women, but there's still problems with it if people don't communicate their intentions.
Yeah, look what happened to Shannon Sharp.
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, I didn't know he was going to bring up Shannon Sharp. I did watch this. I watched about half of this, but I forgot about that. Coach recently did a deeper dive. Well, he discussed Shannon Sharp on a recent episode, so I was thinking about that.
Exactly.
He was about to sell his pod for $100 million.
So $100 million, as I say, all men pay. He didn't pay her directly, but how much did he lose? How much did it cost him just for him to have?
The crazy thing is I think he did pay her. I think it was like $22 million. Now, you know, that's probably a smaller amount than what he lost, but you know, coach is saying that amount he lost too also counts. But yeah, he paid dearly.
That type of relationship with that woman, which was majority consensual, according to her, except for one time.
Crazy.
How much that? So you got $100 million for one sexual act.
Nuts. You ever worry about someone from 20 years ago coming after you?
I always say you never know who you're going to be in 10 years. Also, I always tell young men, you never know who you're going to be in 10 years. So when you're 22, you're like, oh, I don't have anything to lose. But say you become a politician, say you become famous, you're a YouTuber, a streamer, and somebody from 10 years, that woman's sitting there, she's broke, and she's seeing you running around here with a Lamborghini, and you got a big stream with 30,000 people in it. She's going to be like, yeah, that time that you slapped me, that time that you choked me, that time that you, and now it's a he said, she said. So I always tell guys, yeah, it seems like it's free now, but you never know who you're going to be in 10 years.
Coach is right. I mean, he's right when he says all men pay. Like there just always is something somewhere down the line. The longer it goes on and goes down, in whatever form that happens to be.
Part of me is grateful because I used to get made fun of a lot. I didn't pull girls when I was younger.
Right.
I've only slept with one girl my whole life. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, that could be a blessing. Because as I get more famous, there's really no one that could really come after me now.
True.
You know, I used to think about that in child support, not in terms of fame or getting very successful like that, but just in terms of seeing the headache that was for a lot of people. It's almost like, oh, you know, there's a little bit of a blessing and maybe, you know, having been able to avoid some of the worst aspects of this.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like a catch-22, I guess.
We tell people it might not.
In his position, though, you know, he's saying he's lucky, but the more successful that guy gets, he still has this issue of, you know, like if he wants a family, you know, how does he solve that problem? How does he find something that makes sense for him that's a square deal? You know, the dowry system addresses this for a guy like that who's, you know, only been with one woman or only wants to be with one woman. You know, and it's strange because the system we're in makes it a lot tougher for guys who are successful to get married and have kids, you know, unless they take a raw deal, which is really backwards because you'd think if the system made a little bit more sense, the guys who could afford to have kids would be willing to do that more, but we've made it so they're punished for being successful. It's very, very backwards. It's very backwards. Where does stage 5 come from? I've heard that before. Not exactly sure what that is. Maybe I missed what you guys were talking about. Shannon Sharp 2, yep. Stage 4 cancer is the highest, so stage 5 clinker is even worse than that. Me Too is a scam. Prostitutes demanding respect is crazy. Yeah, it's good to have not slept around too much. Yeah, I think so. That's true.
Not be too bad that you're ugly and short and, you know, awkward and lame and goofy, you know, depending, because seeing how things working out now, there's a lot of guys paying for things that they did 10, 15 years ago,
100%.
which was a party back then. Oh, it was super easy and everybody laughed it off. But now it's like, oh, well, maybe that wasn't such a good thing.
The Tri-Light.
There's a chair thing. It's called Therasage. That's the thing.
They're just, like we said earlier, they can't control themselves. When you're young, you know, you're just super horny, I guess.
Stag 5 clinger from the movie Wedding Crashers. Okay.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing about getting older. All right. That goes down a little bit, right? The big head starts thinking the little head. But when you're young, you know, you'll stay up in the middle of the night. You'll do all kind of goofy things to be able to get it. And that's where you make a mistake.
100%.
That's true. That is true. I do believe women are just as horny, if not more, than men. It's just, you know, their ability to procure that is is different for a lot more women, but I think both men and women are nuts after it. I mean, but women too.
Yeah, 100%. What else we got? So monogamy in general, like you said earlier, you don't think you could be with someone long term. Do you think that applies to everyone?
No, some people probably would practice monogamy for a variety of reasons, which are all beneficial to that person. And there's a lot of benefits to it. Like, for instance, somebody could be religious or a culture. Somebody could have a moral reason why they would practice it. Like, for instance, you would be monogamous to your girlfriend in exchange for her being monogamous with you. That's an exchange. So you don't want to screw her over because you don't want her to screw you over.
Right.
It's not because you believe that you are monogamous. It's just the fact that you don't want your girlfriend to cheat, and you're trying to exhibit that by your behavior.
One other thing I think is economically, monogamy is good for property transmission. So, I hate to bring the L word up, but legacy. If you want your children to be in your same class, then being monogamous and having maybe one set of kids will help in that. Because those are your kids, paternity is insured. And, so she gets monogamy, you get monogamy. Those kids are going to be the inheritors of you and your wife's property, basically, and the transmission. If you look at even some of in the feudal period of Europe, some of the lords would purposely only want to have one kid because then that one child would inherit the realm, basically, and there wouldn't be an upset in politics and fighting. That's called unigeniture, instead of primogeniture, which is like the first son getting, the land, or ultimogeniture. But I think monogamy, there's a benefit when it comes to property transmission. If you have a lot of different kids in a lot of different places, the shares are going to be a lot more smaller. And ultimately, your legacy is going to get split up into smaller increments and taken in different places and pretty much diffused, versus having a smaller family unit where that gets pushed on in a way that, maybe preserves some of that familial status in a way that makes sense. So I don't know. I do think property has a lot to do with it, not just a spiritual aspect.
You're exercising discipline to make sure she knows that you're loyal and faithful to her. So it's an exchange. It's not that you're programmed for it. You might have the urges, you might have thoughts, or an opportunity may come up that might challenge it. But there's a reason for that. Also, sexual health, right? Like, who wants to be catching STDs and STIs out here?
Hell no.
Right? Nobody wants that. So
that's very true as well.
The more you do it, the more partners you have, the more you increase the chance. That's going to make people want to be monogamous. Like, I don't want to catch nothing out here, or I don't want to catch a case. So these are all great benefits to it.
For family stability, so I think there's a lot of benefits for monogamy, especially in the type of society that we live in.
Now, for me, like I said, I've done it before. I've been married and with one woman, and we were supposed to be true to each other. But typically you'll find that
it also helps with family alliances. This was another main thing, because you have property, you have families with different holdings, different amounts of holdings. And this forms a hierarchy, and you have different income generation from that. So when it comes to class and power, families would prefer to cement alliances with families of a similar status, if not a higher status. We read about that last week, about having to pay more in a dowry in order to create a better relationship with the family that has more status than you, especially if you're coming from lower. So monogamy is important for that, because it helps ensure a familial bond or kind of alliance, instead of, you with a bunch of different ones that then, kind of devalue that. So that's another reason.
Both partners aren't. Now, what do you have? Do you have a marriage? Do you have it? So it's a little bit tough for me to commit to it at this point.
Both my parents cheated. Yeah. So I grew up with that environment.
See?
And
Whoa! Sorry, I was just thinking about that Twitter short from earlier.
That starts. It's it's over.
No, yeah, it's done. I mean, so I think you can maintain a marriage without monogamy. I don't think you can maintain a marriage that was monogamous and then cheated. Okay, so right.
That's like switching up the deal. So if maybe you start out the deal one way, but if two people enter into a deal and then one person changes the deal midway through and the other one didn't expect that, that probably would lead to a lot more upset.
So if you both start off and say we're both open, or I'm open on my side and closed on this side, it could work.
Okay.
That doesn't mean jealousy is not going to be there. There's jealousy in marriages that are monogamous.
Hold on, Mr. Pitt said that we got the clip. Dang it. Where is that at? In the Discord. Oh, here it is. Oh, it's not playing.
Whoa. Whoa.
I think I'm gonna need to keep this here during the stream so I can just tap on it when I.
Whoa.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's always jealousy. However, I think once you have a marriage that started monogamous and then there was an affair or indiscretion, you can't recover from
Right.
it. Yeah.
What do you think of Tate's strategy? So he'll have girls.
All right, Andrew Tate strategy. I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Tell them up front that she needs to be monogamous to you and you will always keep your options open. Thank you so much, Mr. Pitt.
Different countries, it's much more cheaper. There's no child laws or whatever, divorce laws. It seems pretty effective.
I think that's a good idea if you have the ability to afford it.
Right.
Right. So it's a good idea because, in the United States and the United Kingdom, the divorce laws are ridiculous. Right. It's pretty much set up for men to fail.
Right.
Yeah, the divorce laws are ridiculous at this point, and the family law that we have is based off of trying to accommodate the romantic ethos into marriage. Romance was never supposed to be the grounding of marriage, the love marriage like that. Then it became love marriages. And then you had society trying to accept female hypergamy, essentially. And then you got, okay, at-fault divorce, fine. We're going to allow hypergamy. Here's going to be at-fault divorce. So there's some protection still built in. Then it became no-fault divorce. And once that happened, the entire bottom fell out of monogamy. Because now you have open hypergamy with no consequences because you have no fault, which essentially enables that, especially when the assets get split at the end of the marriage.
And once the failure's there, nobody is there to help the guy. The guy is just going to be basically there to get stripped from a variety of people.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Whereas if you're traveling and you go to places where those laws aren't there, as long as you're not taking advantage of the situation, particularly, let's just say you're having 15 kids in this country. All right, I don't agree with that. But if you can go there and find something that works for you, that's more beneficial, and you want to get married, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, he buys them all a house, he takes care of their expenses.
Yep.
Seems like
Concubine, by the way.
they're pretty.
Just to point that out, that's a concubine. All right, that's not a wife, at least in the Western sense of the word. That's keeping a concubine.
Happy from what I've seen.
And if they're happy,
And it's not a bride price because bride price goes from your side of the family to their family, not to her. This is money being expended on her or for her sake only.
with it, and that's a good arrangement. I think the arrangement was what I would call a payment up front, right? He's basically not writing a blank check. He knows what he's going to pay. You get a house, you get this child, we get this support, you get this particular amount of allowance. That's pay for play or payment. But a lot of people,
and literally historically in ancient Rome, ancient Greece, a concubine is a dowerless woman. That's what a concubine is. Sometimes if one's wife couldn't bear children, then they might take a concubine for that purpose. Or, if they're wealthy, yes, they could have concubines, but then they have their wife, which is the official wife. And there are different rights that she has, especially in terms of the assets of the marriage, where the concubine is just given these things that they're describing here. She brought no dowry, so she and her children are subject to that status level unless the man wants to elevate the child of that concubine to a full status as far as inheritor and things like that go. In our modern day, you know, and the church was very good about keeping legitimate and illegitimate births kind of separate for a long time. So an illegitimate child, you know, might not be able to make a claim onto a father's assets because they're illegitimate. And this further bolstered the importance of marriage as far as an institution goes. But nowadays, it's like you can have a kid out of wedlock. Paternity can be established outside of marriage through the child support court or however. And that child has a full claim, you know, on dad's assets. You know, now, you know, if dad has a will or did that, then that's one thing against that. But prior to that, you know, it was different. So they got rid of, I guess you can say, illegitimate children in this manner to say we have now legal parentage and how it's established, basically. Not to be pedantic, but I don't think that marriage laws are set up for men to fail. Like a great many other things in a very gynocentric society, they're set up to ensure that women don't fail. Yes, they're very gynocentric. Male failure is just a side effect that society is more than happy to accept. Well, yeah, because in a gynocentric society, men are disposable, so men's failures are not looked at the same or cared about, basically. Mr. Pitt, perfect, well done. Yes, thank you, Mr. Pitt. Mr. Pitt says, thanks, many thanks, my friend, to Klaus. Probably true, but the result is the same. The balance has been totally lost. Absolutely true. And, you know, the sad thing about that, too, is that when you had a system that had checks on itself, so you have families regulating each other based off how the system is. When that was the case, I would argue that you didn't need this gigantic state, this gigantic welfare system that has to be there to make wealth transfer happen, you know. Instead, you had families that regulated reproduction without the help of the state so much. But when that went away and romance kind of came in and destroyed marriage and female hypergamy became a thing, now you have the need for a state. You need taxpayer subsidized SNAP benefits and, you know, child support enforcement programs and all these kinds of things, because the sort of self-regulators that were on the family reproduction system have been taken off. So now the state has more power and has more justification from usurping power from families in the name of, I guess, you know, trying to clean up on the back end here, you know, once the mess is made, so to speak, if I could put it that way. I've heard of several structures of harems. I believe in China there are approximately 3 ranks: first wives, women of fortune, and concubines. It might be a little different than what I remember. Yeah, there are. There, you know, even for like royal kings in Thailand or prior Thailand, you know, the interesting thing about Thailand is they were never monogamous, and they have a bride price over there. But it wasn't until the 1930s through European influence that they were influenced to become monogamous, but they still kept the bride price, but outlawed polygyny, basically. But there, you know, in their kings, you would have different levels of strata. There's the queen, you know, then there's a subset of queens. Then there's, you know, concubines, basically, and subsets of that. And each of the children are ranked differently and entitled to a different amount of inheritance from the king as far as that goes. And that's all understood. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting. Karen Takar, hi Shah, how are you, man? Over 30 people in the stream. Yo, Karen, hey man, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. We're just chilling, man. I was sick when the stream started, but strangely I'm feeling better, which is a good sign because I'm going to be doing a recording for a episode with the Male Space tomorrow. So it's a blessing to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, we've been doing okay on viewers, at least as far as my stream's concerned. You know, we've been kind of consistently around 25, you can say, even sometimes 35, 40 on a good night. Last week we got a good amount of likes, about 50 likes. So shout out to the folks who hit the like button, 22 likes with 30 concurrent viewers. Klaus says, I like how you casually fixed my grammar error on the fly. I try when I can. So I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for being here, Takar. Can't wait to watch the interview. Oh yeah, we'll make sure to post that in the Discord once it gets filmed. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, and I'm sure Mail Space will share it. So it'll be fun.
Or not doing that. What they're doing is they're writing a blank check, right, to one person particularly, or two over their period of life.
Yeah, they're putting all their eggs in one basket, right?
One basket.
Yup, and not getting, their right in return.
Dowry, it's my right.
Now, when them eggs get dropped, right now we got a problem, and nobody's gonna come and help you. And now there's a blank check. You don't get to determine, like Tate strategy. He determines what they get.
Right. It's similar to Elon.
Yeah, and he won't get entrapped in, the legal thing of the marriage. Timmy Kramer says, paying my respects. Thank you for helping men in society. Timmy C, the forever bachelor. Oh, thanks, Timmy, man. I appreciate having you in here. Timmy gives us such a great perspective because he's one of the more elderly viewers, so we get to hear sometimes about his experiences. Thank you, Timmy. Okay, now he brings up Elon. So he's saying Andrew Tate and Elon have a similar strategy.
Similar to Elon. Okay, you're gonna have my baby. We're gonna have a cohabitation agreement, NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and you're gonna get this much support or access to this fund.
Yeah,
he gets to control that. Once it gets put into the government's hands or in the lawyer's hand in America, you don't get to control that. They basically get to say you're gonna give this person this, and this is the results. You might lose your children in the process.
Yeah. Do you make your girls sign NDAs too?
I do. Yep. So they got to sign an NDA, and also they sign a cohabitation agreement, even though they won't live there.
Oh, what is that?
That seems to be kind of a new thing in the space. I've seen this guy named Chisha Zed. He sells like prenup templates and stuff, and it seems like these kinds of things could lend itself to that. So that might be a thing. I don't know how effective all the stuff would be, but probably better to have it than not have it. So interesting.
Cohabitation agreement pretty much says what would happen.
Especially if you're a well-to-do content creator.
And if you live with me, and what your responsibilities are, or what you have access to, what you own, what you don't own, what the behaviors are, what do I expect for you when you're living there. Now, they're not going to move in, but there are situations where the woman is living there.
Staying the night.
They're staying the night in multiple days, right? They may stay the night 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
That's almost living there at that particular point. Or she may stake a claim. Hey, I moved in, I live there, I have a drawer or community, I receive mail there.
Receive mail. Receiving mail is the big one. That was in child support, I remember that kind of being a thing, especially because we were concerned with serving people, legal documents. And we would try to personally serve folks a lot, and we would want to know, like, are they living or receiving mail there? And if they're receiving mail, that is something that is an implication for their habitation status,
So in that case, we already have ironed out what that is. You can also do a prenatal or a co-parenting agreement, even though you don't intend to have children. Most people don't intend to have children, but stuff happens, right?
Yeah, you could do one. There's probably good to have an understanding. That's probably something you can show in court. Usually when it comes, and he's not saying prenup, he's talking about a cohabitation agreement. But when it's about children, these kinds of prior agreements, I would say, carry less weight. Like, you can't pre-negotiate child support. They're going to say, well, the child's always entitled to the guideline amount, which is what the state calculator says. And with custody, there are pretty defined family law codes that detail what a judge is looking at to determine custody. So that battle will probably still be there. It might be useful to have one because you can say, well, this is what the intention was if you come in front of a judge. But I think this is a kind of interesting development in the space. We're kind of yet to see its effectiveness, but I can appreciate the creativity of it. Klaus says, cohabitation agreement is a prudent thing. You guys wouldn't believe how many men were effed here when they introduced common law marriage. Man, see, that's a thing we take for granted over here, at least in a lot of our states, that we don't have common law marriage. Some places we did have it more so, but You know, in a lot of states we don't. But yeah, that could be something that they would want to, you know, reenact or bring back. So it's interesting hearing about that. I know Australia has it pretty bad too. So interesting stuff there. And that's where a cohabitation agreement, like Klaus says, would be a very prudent thing. Karen says, CGA always has great advice. Respect. Even you, Shah. Your knowledge is an incredible contribution to this space. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Karen, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. That really does, man. So thank you for your support as well.
So in that case, you can decide what you're going to do. We're going to co-parent. You're going to have 50-50 custody. There's going to, you know, we're going to have equal parenting legalities related to legal custody, where you can iron that out before anything happens when you have leverage. Let's say she lives with you, you know, off and on in a month, and she says, "Oh, I'm pregnant." She's not signing a co-parent. She has the leverage now. She can do what she wants. She can walk. She can get up and move to the Philippines. She gone, right? She could just be like.
It's kind of what happened with Elon and Ashley St. Clair. I think ultimately, you know, Elon's so rich. I'm sure their lawyers probably just talked it out in private. I don't know if her case is still active there in New York. I haven't actually heard any follow-ups about that. You know what? Let me just try to do something on the fly and see. Ashley St. Clair, Elon Child's Pote, and we'll see what the recent news is. Child's Pote. News. August 2025, 14 hours ago. You know, some of this stuff is just kind of brought into, oh crap. My screens are going blank. Hopefully we didn't lose the stream. Sorry, my entire computer just like graphic carded off and on. So, can I get confirmation that we're still live? Let me just double check that real quick. Sorry, guys. I hate it when this happens. They changed the whole kind of like interface thing too. Looks like we're doing okay. I still see chats coming in. Uh-oh, this is bad. Let's see. Guys, am I... Oh, stream is fine. Okay, thank you, Klaus. Whew. Okay, we're good. My bad. My whole thing like blinked in front of me and I was like, great. Did we lose the stream? Ooh, I see Bass in here. Yo, shout out Bass. Good to see you, man. Shah is built different. Can't help but love him. Thank you, Bass, man. I appreciate that. I really do. That means a lot to me. Moisture Patrol. I think might be my first time seeing you. I think common law marriage in Canada is universally 12 months. Well, shout out to you, Moisture Patrol, for being here. Klaus GGG says Canada actually is the worst with common law marriage. Wow, I didn't know that. I will say my 1 week stay in Canada was very nice. I appreciated it. They make an excellent donut up there. You can even lose your house you owned before cohabitation if there's a kid involved. Oh my gosh. Wow. Base FCZ 100%. Thank you, Karen. Men gotta patrol your moisture. Stream is fine. Karen says, whoa.
Whoa.
Stream is fine. I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you. It's all good. You did just grow antlers for a sec. I've been here the whole time. Actually, I've just been working on some stuff. Awesome. Well, hey man, I'm always looking forward to your videos, Base. So thank you for that, man. All right. Well, we'll go and I'm glad everything's fine. We'll just go and get back in here. We're at about an hour. We're about the 2 hour mark. Wow. Time's flying by. Guys, I'm probably going to call this at the hour mark just because, you know, I got to get up a little earlier tomorrow. Also, guys, I'm happy to share that I made a pound cake today. So I do want to say that I believe my my trad arc might actually be starting. So, oh gosh, hopefully you don't see any bad pictures in here. But yeah, see that? And the part that really sucked, man, is that I accidentally set the oven to broil instead of bake. But somehow, like, it turned out fine. Better make sure it's not a bad photo. Check that out with the cup of buttermilk. Man, I made that. I made that today. So, you know, trad arc incoming. All right, let's move.
Like, that's it. And you have no way to get her back. You have no way to get that. Now you got to go to the courts and say, she needs to be back here so I can get access to my kids. Good luck.
Damn.
Good luck. So when I engage with someone seriously, they got to go through this paperwork. This is another way to vet them. Because if they say, I don't want to sign this, okay, bye-bye.
See, and you know, I like that there is a resurrection here of the vetting of the prior negotiation. And what's beautiful about the dowry era is, you know, with the true marriage contract that has a marriage settlement agreement. We have to remember that word, because all we have now are divorce settlements, but there used to be marriage settlements. You used to get, the marriage had to have been settled at the beginning. Like, there is this concept of a settled marriage. And, you know, kind of what he's talking about there about this vetting process is, it kind of harkens back to that. So I actually really like that. Username says that you're ready to be a trad wife. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sharpening my trad wife skills here. So that would actually be the second cake that I made. So I actually made one before. Looks good, Shah. Thank you. Appreciate that. I like getting compliments on my cakes. Shout out to Moist Patrol for keeping these dudes moist. Just like a good cake, nice and moist.
Oh. Yeah, I see these athletes. I don't know how they keep falling for it. Like Anthony Edwards, just baby mama stuff. It's like, you don't know by now to like get some.
Honestly, I can hear what he's saying there. Like in 2025, it's just, you know, it sucks to see that happen in 2025, you know.
Documentation or something.
Get some documentation. That would be the only thing I would suggest. People say keep it in his pants or something like that. I'm like, he obviously has a behavior.
Yeah.
Because people see that. And I would get all of that documented before we even get to the point where we have to go to court. I would fight over that document before I would fight under the rules of the legal system.
Yeah, I think he paid her all up front. Did you see that?
He attempted to pay her all up front.
Oh, she did?
In many cases, you cannot.
Oh. Yeah, that was crazy when I heard that. I don't know where people were like, oh, he paid all his child support in the beginning. That's such a smart thing. There's no such thing as doing that. And the reason is because the incomes and the custody situation between the man and mom and dad can change and is subject to change. So the court always has the right to say there's been a change in the income, in the custody, whatever, even in both parties' marital status. They might marry other people, whatever it happens to be. And those are all acceptable reasons to throw it back in the court and have the court recalculate child support. So you can't preemptively pay child support. And it wouldn't even count as a payment. The only payment that counts as a child support payment is the payment that's due that month. So if you paid $60,000 and your payment was $1,500, you would have one child support of $1,500 paid. And then you would have, what did I say, 60 or 50,000? I think I said 60,000. Then you would have 58,500 as a gift given to this person. And then the next month you would have $1,500 due again, unless you had the judgment modified. If welfare wasn't expended, you might be able to say, here's 60,000, mom, I'm going to give you this, but let's modify the order to 0. And if she agrees and there's no cash aid being given to the child, she can agree to say, okay, you guys can both sign a document with your lawyer or go to the child support agency and sign a stipulation agreeing to set child support for this child born such and such date to 0 effective this month going forward. Then legally speaking, you owe $0 unless it gets modified again, which you would be alerted of because the courts would mail serve you. Then you can say, okay, but even if you did that, she can still come back 6 months later and say, I want guideline. And at that point, you've already paid $60,000. And the courts are going to be like, well, the child is always entitled to guideline support. And so it's just not a good idea to do this paying before thing.
Don't accept payment up front.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
A variety.
I just explained the variety of reasons.
Oh. So they don't accept payment up front.
Yep.
Wow.
So we just went through the reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
A variety of reasons. They have Title 4D, which they're connected to the Social Security Administration, the federal government. They don't want
that would be the agency.
This lump sum payment. They can't do anything with it.
Exactly. See, and another thing, what he's talking about is that's going to affect performance measures. the 4D system would rather collect 60,000 of arrears owed because that would look really good on their performance measures than 60,000 up front and not being able to say, hey, we collected every month, every time. Because then that amount wouldn't go into their end of year fiscal reporting to the federal government saying, hey, we collected X amount of child support. We want the matching funds, that they get based off how the system. I talked a lot about this with my discussions with Dr. Baskerville. But Coach is well aware of that.
They also kind of want you
even with Pearl
them and order to them monthly to pay them monthly so they can send you, I call it fan mail. Or they can send you mail. This is what you owe to us. This is what you need to pay. They can constantly kind of harass you.
It's
and
justifying it. Their
meet
existence.
the obligation. Well, then they can throw you in jail. They kind of can control you a little bit. Yeah.
The child support numbers with these athletes, it just blows my mind, dude.
I don't know how in the world. I know they make a lot of money, but I don't know how you can say, I'm going to give this person $2 million for having my kid.
A year.
Yeah, like what? Like this doesn't make sense. $10,000 a month, and they're going to make $15 million to take care of your kid, quote unquote, which they're not.
They just did a study on how much it costs to raise a kid, and it was $400,000, 0 to 18.
Yep.
So to get $2 million in 1 year,
$400,000
doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up at all.
Yeah. So
I remember when it was 200,000. I swear that wasn't that long ago. It's 400 now. Damn.
It costs that much to raise a kid. It only costs that much to raise a kid for you because of who you are. I don't think that system.
That's the part that's the nuttiest, So it's like the more successful you are, the more you're punished, and it's kind of like a pseudo alimony. But they're trying to say that the kid is justified to part of the father's lifestyle. Which to me, you combine that with no fault divorce and you got a disaster, in the making right there. That's where the pseudo alimony discussion comes in. Man, she messed up my whole Costco sweater. You see how it says Costco right here? Costco wholesale for $29.99.
It's fair. I think should be a cap. In that way.
Yeah, I mean, some states do have caps, Typically in the states that do have caps, you will also see other laws that say that basically the software of the calculator is capped. But the judge can always deviate from the cap. Basically, any judge can deviate from any child support calculator. They just have to cite why they're doing it. Most states have this as a caveat. And this was a discussion in the Elon Musk, Ashley St. Clair situation. It was kind of funny. I had laid my head down to rest and the cat was hanging out with me. And I was listening to a Pearl Space and she was talking with some people and Laura Loomer was in there and it was about this Ashley Sinclair situation. And I was not listening anonymously. And Pearl's like, hey, there's a guy who worked at child support in here. And I was like, oh crap. I was half asleep, And so she asked me to speak and I did talk. And Laura Loomer was just like, what do you mean, deviate? How much could a child need? You know what I mean? But the part that they weren't kind of understanding, because Laura Loomer thought it would be a done thing. Okay, there's caps on child support, so she's not going to get more than that. But Ashley Sinclair hired the same lawyer that worked on one of the Trump divorces. And she had a PR firm that was pretty much saying that what Elon Musk was doing was harming her and her baby's life in a kind of form of abuse. So she hired a big PR guy that was kind of working in tandem with this attorney. And I was able to see through that. So the caps on the child support didn't matter because my opinion, unless Elon Musk and his attorneys figure this out privately with her, is they're going to say because of Elon Musk's actions and neglect, it made her mental health worse, and it also made her need, because she was trying to argue she was being harassed by different media outlets. So they're going to go in there and say, well, in order for me to take care of this child, I need 24 hours security. I need a home and a place that's away from all these people. So I'm not constantly being harassed by, TMZ or, people like Laura Loomer who are investigative journalists who pop out of the bushes every time I walk out of my house. And it's taking a mental stress on me. So they would go in there with a sophisticated argument like that, and the judge would say, oh, okay, We're going to deviate from the guideline, and I'm going to justify these expenses as being needed from child support from Elon Musk. That was what the play was going to be. Oh yeah, that reminded me. We were supposed to be looking at what the newest situation with this whole Elon Musk debacle is. Elon Musk faces off with baby mama Ashley St. Clair in court day after quitting DC post at Dodge. Okay, so this is 4 months ago. Dang it, I thought this was recent. Ashley St. Clair had filed the lawsuit on 21st, claiming that, the baby is secret, blah, blah, blah. Her attorney said, "We are not going to speak to you," as a reporter approached St. Clair. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can continue reading this without having to sign up for anything. The world's richest man, 53, appeared before Judge Jeffrey Perlman. Oh, wow. He actually appeared in court, who then ordered the hearing sealed due to the sensitive nature of the proceedings. Okay, well, I mean, that's probably where it's going to end for us to be able to see this. Musk's attorneys had previously successfully petitioned the judge to seal the case on March 14th, keeping its details secret and limiting St. Clair's ability to speak out. Wow, how much do you think this cost? About $3,500 just for that blue shirt right there? Alleged baby mama Ashley St. Clair, 26, arrived at court in Manhattan on Thursday for a paternity hearing. This is pretty standard because he didn't sign any documents, so they're deciding on the matter of if he wants to accept paternity or if he wants to take a genetic test. So as of 4 months, look at that belt buckle right there. That's a real American belt buckle. Surprisingly, Musk made a surprise appearance virtually in the courtroom. All right, there's that big shot attorney, by the way. I don't know who this is, but she looks like she knows how to negotiate. Surprisingly, Musk made a surprise appearance virtually in the courtroom only hours after he had quit his position in DC. The hearing comes on the heels of the tech boss abruptly announcing last night he's quitting. All right, well, I mean, with all this stuff sealed, Musk had not publicly acknowledged the child. She was spotted handing over the keys to her black Model S outside her Manhattan apartment. There's Musk doing his thing. There's her getting paparazzi'd. From this photo, her mental health doesn't seem too terrible. Ooh, man, I better drink some water. It's getting a little dehydrated in here. This is some Mr. Burns-esque shot. This is some Simpsons level picture right here. Oh my God. That is on some Simpsons level. Mr. Burns hands together. Oh my God. Look at it. Look at this right here. That's Mr. Burns. Look, he's doing the Mr. Burns. Oh my God. That's crazy. Right there. Oh my God. I don't know why this is a big deal to me. It just could not be more rich billionaire guy. Wow. Wow. All right, there she is. There's the Tesla. There's the alleged Tesla there. She previously told Daily Mail I need to make up the 60% cut that Elon made to our son Shah. Asked if she felt Musk has been vindictive toward her. Well, that's his modus operandi. When women speak out. Oh, he's a misogynist. God, we knew this was coming. You can check the stocks. I'm not the only one who is cleaning up his mess. Let me just see the other article. Oh, I need to allow ads on this. Is there anything more recent from that? Okay. Elon Musk's ex Ashley St. Clair claims she's facing eviction and child support with billionaire. Yeah, see, this is all part of trying to get them to deviate from the calculation. When was this written? August, because this is all 4 months ago. So yeah, I don't know. Now that this is sealed, I mean, we're not going to see what the deal is, but yeah, all of this is from a while ago. This is all from a while ago. So, all right, well, I mean, looks like we haven't. Yeah, 7 months ago. Well, I mean, listen, if anybody spots anything on that case, please send it my way or put it in the Discord. Do I need to learn baking for getting a trad wife? No, it's for the other way around. It's for the other way. I'm just cosplaying the trad wife, frankly, at this point. But the pound cake was good. Orem says, had a high profile case with a football player. That was his yearly support. Wow. Man, I remember the high profile cases around the office, Orem. And shout out to you for still working the high profile cases. Bro, I remember having a rapper and trying to convince the director that this was actually a high profile case. And she was like, no, this is not a high profile case. I think she was just not a fan of the rapper. I was like, all right, I'll work it. He could have apparently paid to raise a kid to full grown with 1 year support. Wow. Dude, that was a big fish. That's some high value targetness right there. Some lame rudimentary music at the top. Damn, Shah, gotta get out more. Did you see the which music are you talking about? The Stromae? Stromae is good. Did you see the South Park bit with the strong Christian woman? No, that sounds hella funny. LOL, it's basically every TradCon woman. If you could find a clip of that, please send it to me. Yo, they put ads in the AI summary. I still don't see the attraction of Smashley. She's pretty mid. Yeah, I've kind of seen a lot of people saying that too.
Would probably change the behavior of the women.
100%.
Because they're not going to go after these guys anymore.
It's incentivized to go out. I don't even blame the woman, honestly.
Why not? I mean, listen, people hate it. They hate to see it. But what is she supposed to do?
It's not illegal. I mean,
there you go. It's not illegal. You can do it. And the guys aren't really guarding themselves against it, unfortunately. So yeah, they're going to take what they can get. That's not even female nature. That's human nature. If a guy could get a much larger dowry with bringing less to the table, he would do that. The Greeks had a name for it called proikateres, the dowry hunters.
Yeah, why not?
Right. And so the guy's going to fall for it. He doesn't have the discipline, whatever. But I think there should be a cap. That would change the behavior of the women. They're going to say, I'm only going to get $3,000 a month. Well, I'm not going to make myself available to these guys. They're not going to.
There should be a cap, but again, most of the time the judges can deviate from them. So a sophisticated lawyer can try to find his way around that, which is what Ashley's trying to do.
Be easy prey. So they might do something else. They might find YouTubers next. I have no idea.
I mean, streamers are where the next money's at, man.
So they're coming after you next.
Yeah. Shit, dude. I'm good. I got discipline.
Right. Yeah.
I could keep it in my pants.
Right. There you go.
I did want to talk about the...
Okay, hold on. Dan the Man posted this in the Discord, this South Park clip. Let me just look at that real quick, because that sounds pretty funny. I want to see the trad wife take on the trad wife.
Hey, Jesus, get your stuff, man. We're going out for drinks.
What?
Look, I know it's been hard for you trying to adjust here and everything. So the wife and I were talking, and we found a nice Christian lady we're going to set you up with.
Oh, I don't
Oh my gosh.
think so. Thanks, but...
Oh, come on, man. She's a really great woman, and she just converted to Christianity.
Yo, when did this come out, bro? Is this new? Or is this an older episode?
My wife met her at the same place that she became Christian.
That guy's sunglasses is the best.
So then I was like, you know what? I need a new direction in my life. It's like I just got so...
Oh my God. Wow. Dude, they got it spot on 2 days ago. Oh, I gotta watch this episode. I haven't seen South Park in years, man. Oh my God.
Sick of everyone being such a pussy all the time. So then I was like, you know what? I need a new direction in my life. It's like I just got so sick of everyone being such a pussy all the time and all this woke garbage and women trying to be men. So I just started reading the Bible.
Oh my God. Yeah, they got this perfectly. Oh, I'm getting attacked.
You know? I mean, I didn't actually read the Bible, but I listened to a lot of podcasts. And once I went through my transition,
I don't actually read the Bible, but I listen to a lot of podcasts.
I was like, this is great. Only now guys are always checking out my Christianity.
Sorry, could you all excuse me? I need to go to the bathroom.
Sure thing, Jesus.
He seems nice.
It looks like he's going MGTOW, man. Like these are the MGTOW. Like he's representing the MGTOW folk right now. The Cheesecake Factory. That was a crazy clip. Thank you, Dan. I gotta save that one, man. Oh my God. Jesus, we feel your pain. Strong Christian woman is a brutal murder of strong woman's character, and I'm all for it. Her just giving up and giving in. The beauty is that it's clearly a critique of religion, but more so organized religion, and simultaneously Jesus himself is actually real, genuinely compassionate, extremely rational. He's constantly being disappointed, though, by the Christians who allegedly follow his teachings. I love that even though South Park makes fun of religion, Jesus is canonically less evil than the show's characters. I mean, I didn't actually read the Bible, but I listened to a lot of podcasts. That's literally 90% of Christian Zoomers. Oh my, the added sound of plastic when she lifts her glass. Oh God, South Park, the documentary. What a very wholesome lady. That was funny. Thank you for that, Dan the Man. That was great. That was great. I gotta watch that. I haven't seen South Park in so long. South Park was fantastic. It's new. Okay, I like the necklaces. Yeah, oh my gosh. Dude, it gets better. The introduction to Strong Christian Woman is crazy. I'm gonna watch that episode. I'm gonna make a thing to find it and watch it.
The male loneliness epidemic, because I was there, man, in college.
Dude, I'm getting straight up attacked by this cat. She's just like, she was straight up attacked. I got scratches all over the place. She's my bud. She's my bud. She just showed up one day and then she started living here. And then I was like, all right, you can live here. She's my buddy. All right, moving in.
And now it's gotten even worse, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's a... Yeah.
I could keep it in my pants.
Right, there you go.
I did want to talk about the male loneliness epidemic, because I was there, man, in college. And now it's gotten even worse, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's a male... I think men need a little bit more of an idea of what they're going to get from women when they're young. And it's confusing because women have changed significantly since, 20 years ago.
I think that's a very important point, is a lot of the stuff we're seeing is an adjusting, and a lot of people were taken off guard. I'd say the guys that really, especially like, in the early 2000s, I think kind of got the worst of it, because they didn't have anything. They couldn't really compare notes as much, maybe a little bit, but not like how we do today.
Girls, there were always college girls and girls gone wild and this type of thing. But today, women are able to monetize themselves. They're able to have a reach internationally. So it is making men feel like they don't have a chance for a certain amount of time. But I'm going to say before the 1950s, it was like that. Men had to go to war. Men had to fight. Men had to kind of work and make their way. Sometimes they even had to have land. They had to go through family. There was a dowry or a bride price.
Ooh, nice. Dowry mentioned at 30:57. And of course I had to do this.
There was a dowry or a bride price.
We now have this as a sound effect, which will live on the channel.
There was a dowry or a bride price.
Shout out to Coach for that mention. I hold with a fond regard, a fondness, the time I got to hang out with Coach and smoke a cigar. That was a big blessing for me, and I appreciated being able to do that. It just made me happy that he mentioned dowry and bride price. Now, I know he's talking about it in the context of men's responsibilities. But yes, dowry is what the woman brings. I just thought it was cool.
There was things that the men had to do to qualify. They may have to have a farm with sheep, or it may be hand down. So
now, of course, the amount of dowry that would be sort of wheeled over, so to speak, is going to depend on the man's position. So the beautiful thing about it is it checks hypergamy in the sense that it rewards success. We have a society that rewards success. Right now, we have a society that is demonizing and punishing men for being successful. But what's beautiful about the dowry system is I think, rewarded both sides really for success. So, sorry, the honorable mention there of dowry and bride price just made me very happy.
Men didn't always have it easy to get access to women. But there was a time period where which was post-World War II, and it became like the women were like, oh, okay, you get a girl, and you get a girl.
This was a time of great economic prosperity. And we were at the early part of modernization. So the fruits of modernization on the front end are very, very good. As we get acclimated to modernization, then, we start to catch up with it again. And we're now in a situation like we are now where the cost of living is a lot higher and things are a lot different. W Dowry mention. Exactly. Whoa, Dowry. Whoa. I haven't watched South Park in ages, but lately I saw the episode where they made fun of Meghan Markle and Harry. Oh, I bet that one's funny too. Yeah, I can't remember the last South Park episode I've seen, but I would love to watch that. That one from the clip we just saw. Her dowry is your right, Shah.
Your dowry, it's my right.
Absolutely. All right, moving in.
You get a girl and you get to go to Sally to the prom and the sock hop, right?
The sock hop.
We fantasize, we idolize this time period, but that time period is long gone. We haven't adjusted. So now there is an incentive where there's a thing that men have to kind of improve themselves. They have to compete. Where women are like, oh, I got access to, we have perceived access to a bunch of men. And the men are like, well, you don't really have that access. You're still going to fall down to me. But when women in their 20s are told really not to settle down, they're told that they're too young to have children, despite the fact that they have an open fertility window. So they're told that they can freeze their eggs. So they push this timeline all the way down. They've had fun. They can party. They can travel. Hot girl summer. They can date multiple men. They can try to date up as much as they possibly can. They can try to reach into their DMs for celebrities, or they could just chill out. They could just stay in their room and stream on Twitch all day. They are not forced to.
That's also a change in labor value and, opportunities brought on by modernization, which have, been a big change.
Make a move. They can make that move in late 20s, early 30s, and even now they're saying 40s. Right?
IVF and all these things.
They're saying women can have children in their 40s. So they're pushing that way down the line in priority. So where does that leave the young men? You have to compete in a marketplace where you're pretty much invisible to this group of women. So it's going to create a loneliness, but down the line, it's going to flip. The true loneliness is going to be from the women. So much of the loneliness is propaganda, but there are men that want a relationship. They want a hug,
I think the loneliness, it is a phenomena. Now, they probably use that as another way to embellish it and hurt men, but I think the thing to be accepted is that I call it adolescence 2.0. And a lot of people might not want to hear that because it sounds like not taking but responsibility. But what I think it means is that men, for the most part, need a longer incubation time than they have before. There's been an extension of adolescence because it takes time to build yourself. Now, again, this is all great for the short term. For short-term engagements, yes. For long-term monogamy, if you are going to attempt it, this is a hard, it's a hard sell because once the guy, if he has this long incubation time and finally actually achieves it and becomes high value, then that guy, there's no justification for locking him down with this, one trad wife, submissive or not, especially if she doesn't bring, one of these.
Your dowry, it's my right.
So at that point, then it's like he's in the candy store now, and it's hard to find a deal that makes sense, for him. And you even kind of see that even with a lot of the creators in the space who maybe would profess to want some kind of wife or another. And then they, what they do is, years go by, but they don't marry a submissive woman that's ostensibly out there that they could find because they don't trust taking that deal. So this is where I think the dowry conversation is interesting because it focuses so much on a long-term monogamous deal that makes sense if men are going to go through that. The dowry made a lot more sense because it was investing into a man while he was still younger. So by the time he got there, there is no justification for him not being a better provisioner for the family. They invested the dowry into his, he was an apprentice at the baker, the blacksmith or whatever. And when he got married, that dowry was used, part of it, to open up shop for him, and they invested into a young man with potential. Nowadays, the young men aren't getting anybody and investing in them. So to shame them into being the provider later on after all the blood, sweat, and tears is not gonna, make them want to be monogamous. So, self-improvement is a discussion that happens in the space, and that's a lot of what the space relies on. And, self-improvement is good. It's important. I think, though, without discussion on how to parlay that value once you get there, it can lead to a lot of the disasters that we see. I think Coach is someone that is trying to help men understand how to parlay that in a way that makes sense. I don't think he's so much focused on monogamy. I don't think he believes it's really tenable today. Hope I'm not mischaracterizing him. But I think for people who want to live that lifestyle, they should at least understand what would make it a fair deal on both ends to try to attempt it in a way that makes sense. So I think it's good to improve. It's good to be realistic about where you are and where you're at, but it's also good to understand, how do I parlay this in a way that makes sense? I think basically people forgot, what does a fair deal or a fair bargain look like? And that's where I'm so fascinated with this conversation, because if society can agree and say, yes, that's actually what the fair deal looks like for this setup, then I think that can have some positive results.
I mean, they want to cuddle. They want intimacy. They're not going to get it as easy. It's going to flip. Once the women turn mid-30s and 40s and 50s, majority of the women will be lonely, childless. They won't have family events to go to in their 40s and 50s and 60s. They're going to be alone as well. So a reality is going to happen. I don't know where we're going to go with it. I don't think there's a chance to actually converge and meet it in the middle. I think women have stood their ground. The men are trying to find a way to either use shame or criticism to criticize their approach. But where do you go from here?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I personally haven't met too many feminists I thought were happy.
No, they typically aren't going to be. Yeah.
And once milk goes to $8 a gallon, whew.
Yeah, because it gets difficult. They become somewhat invisible, more invisible than they were. And this is a hard adjustment for them. So they may lash out. They may become angry at men, or they may say it was all men's fault for my life, the results of it. They may, try to revert back to their 20s and get attention. You see a lot of older women try to keep up with the sex appeal.
Yep.
And, they do the miracles of modern science, Botox, injections and fillers and filter. So they'll do that as a means to say, hey, 45 is the new 25. They'll do a variety of things to keep themselves alive. However, it's going to be that they're still going to remain single.
Yep. How much of the dating issues in today's society do you blame on poor parenting?
Good question, man. Good question. Poor parenting. I've been critical of parenting, specifically from the millennials and the Gen X parent group, which I'm a Gen Xer.
I mean, I didn't make it this far in the interview, but I'll be interested to hear what Coach says. And especially when I think of parenting and parents that are at odds with each other, I think makes it all the more harder to parent properly, Shout out to the folks watching, 36 people, and shout out to the 26 people who hit the like button. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps me.
Yeah.
The people in their 20s and, their late teens are a result of millennial and Gen X parenting, where the parenting has become weaker. And these two generations are experiencing massive amounts of divorce or, children out of marriage and wedlock. These parents have tried to be the friends of these children and not parents. They didn't want
to. And a lot of that too, it's like the parents, the divorce happens, then the parents want to kind of pursue their own Sex in the City lifestyle. And then like when it comes to it's almost like bribing the kid, you know what I mean? Bribing the kid to be like, yeah, I'm the cool parent or the friend of the kid. And then the kid's going back and forth and the kids learn how to play both of the parents and to play kind of politics with them. One parent, off of the other. If this parent doesn't give me what I want, well, then I want to live with that parent who lets me drink Mountain Dew or whatever the heck it is that the kids want,
To tell their kids no, they don't want to spank them on the hand. And as a result, their relationships didn't manifest and turn out well, high divorce rates. And then you look at them, the kids were somewhat isolated. You got two parents working outside of the home, typically. Mm-hmm. And now the kids have been left on their own.
left on their own. And, with the two parents split up, they're each paying for their own domiciles, and there's not much money to save for the kids' future, whether that's for their college or future inheritance or, one of these.
No dowry. It's my right.
And then the kids, they turn 18 and they're kind of out on their own at that point without, further parental backdrop or guidance that they can rely on to help them get set up, especially with the way, colleges nowadays and all these kinds of things. So families aren't really saving and building. It's just this sort of constant consumerism and things just like sand through fingers, and that just makes it tougher.
If they had learning disabilities, they had to use the public school indoctrination camp. They had to use daycare. Daycare is basically going to be where your kid's going to fail.
Yep.
Your kid's going to fail. If they start off on daycare and they went through daycare all the way to 8th grade, good luck. Kid's going to be a mess. And then when you have also the kid have access to too much time, which we say idle time is the devil's time, right? Idle hands are the devil's hands. So the kid's going to get in trouble. As a result, how possibly can they see what a good wife and a good husband could be? They don't have the demonstration of it. So they're going to go to fantasy. They're going to watch Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy. And they're going to go watch rom-coms. That's where the majority of us are getting our relationship advice from. Music.
There and Reddit. I think it's even worse now. It's not even just that. Like a lot of people just go online and they ask the hive mind for guidance. I mean, some of these kids are probably on Chat GPT now asking for advice. Old MGTOW meme, a generation sent their parents not to raise their kids, but to old homes and made sure that they use their wealth so they don't end up like their parents. That's an interesting perspective there too.
Music videos, celebrities, these are our examples of relationships, which are not good examples. Mm-hmm. It should come from the parents. But I often tell people, find 5 people, find 5 couples that have a relationship that you would want to mimic, that you would want to copy. 5 couples that have been through the test, they have kids, husband, wife. Find 5 couples. Most people can't do it.
I can't think of 5.
Can't think of 5. 5 real couples, not your
That is quite the challenge.
Grandparents, not your parents. You got to disqualify your grandparents because they've already been through the hell and the storm before you were born. All right. So your grandma didn't have any opportunities and leverage. Grandpa got kids in Vietnam and Korea, so it was a different time. You can't really go for your grandparents. That's what people will say. Oh, I want to love like my grandparents love. Well, that's 60 years down the line. What did they do in their 20s and 30s? They had hell too.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case, but it was just a completely different environment, even especially legally speaking, and so many other changes, of course, too, technologically, but it was so different. But, I'm sure there were stories back then.
Can you name 5 couples and go out and say, I want a marriage like them? It's tough for people to do.
I can't.
And I'm saying,
what's kind of crazy? The one couple that always comes to my mind are my buddy's parents. And they were from India, Hindu Indians, and I don't know. I remember my buddy's mom, she was always very kind to me, but his father had passed when we were still in high school, but I always saw their house as a very solid house. And the 3 kids grew up and got, solid jobs and are all married and solid marrieds. But I remember the mom, because the mom was very pragmatic minded, and I always respected her. But that's only one couple I can think.
That's why, the reason why is that you idolize celebrity. You idolize movies and songs and music videos and
Disney princess movies.
Yeah, Disney princess. You're not idolizing anything that real, because when it's real, relationships are tough. And most people don't want to go through the toughness.
I only have one, which is my aunt and uncle marriage. Just one. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and it's a tough thing because I want to say, more this or that and be more positive. But like when I think about there's another one actually around the corner. Chinese American Christians. They're a little liberal, but they're still religious. And those two worked very pragmatically. and they had 3 boys, and they grew up well. So I look to them as a good example. The other one is literally the mom's parents of that family that I actually grew up right next to, because they're my neighbors. So these old folks, they had come from China many years ago. And the father fought in the U.S. Army in World War II, I believe. I went to his funeral. Every day when I'd walk to school, they'd be outside. You know, the grandpa was watering the lawn, and the grandma was tending flowers or something. And theirs was a very long marriage. And it was sad, too, because when the grandfather passed away, literally the grandma died like a year later. I don't know. It was just this thing. So yeah, I guess if I think, but you know, it's a lot of people from a long time ago. Like if I think about my generation, there's I have some friends that are married that I'm like, well, you know, I think that's pretty good. I've known 3. 2 of the couples are divorced now. See, that's the thing when it comes to couples that are my age. I can't look back. I don't have the privilege of that, but I know, Klaus, you're a little older than me, so you can see. But yeah, I know it's tough to think about.
So I never want to argue. Hey man, you're not ready for a relationship.
Right.
You're living with a person. I don't care if you're living with a wife, a sister, a mom, and you're an adult child. You're going to argue.
You're going to have disagreements.
You're going to have disagreements. You're going to just be like, I want to be isolated. Don't talk to me. Well, if your wife says, hey, I get to talk to you whenever I want. Guess what? Now got a reality check coming.
What do you think of that trend where you sleep in separate rooms from your
I love
mother?
that.
You love that?
Love it. I think,
Oh, he did say you can't. Okay, I think Code said you can't use grandparents because that is a form of it. Okay, my bad. So okay, yeah, I forgot he said that. But if I could, I would also include my grandparents, which would make it 2. They're talking about living together, living apart together.
I want.
Remember, we did a video on that.
You now got a reality check coming.
What do you think of that trend where you sleep in separate rooms from your mother?
That.
You love that?
Love it. I think that we've been misled of how people sleep. I can't sleep with people in my bed. It's disruptive. People snore. I snore. People shift around and move. It has been proven that people will disrupt your sleep even if they're sitting there quiet.
Wow.
Because you can't spread out. You can't roll around. You're having to be considerate when you're in some REM sleep. I like the idea of being able to separate if needed. Okay. If needed, and say, hey, there's a room over here. There's a room over here. In my marriage, we slept together probably the first 2 or 3 years, but then we started sleeping in separate rooms because I'm an early bird and she was a night owl. Right. So we're going to go to, am I going to force her to go to bed at 9:30? She don't want to go to bed at 9:30.
I think that's an interesting thing right there. It would definitely be good to have a separate bed just in case. I'm the kind of person that, man, I'm like a pretty light sleeper. You know, like how there's some people that'll just fall asleep. Like I remember as kids, like if you think of your siblings, if you ever had to sleep next to your siblings and like, man, just like that, lights out and they're sleeping. And then you're just like, well, I guess I'll be awake for another half hour until you fall asleep. I'm that person. My ex lives in my house. She sleeps in the other room. Interesting. For the co-parent situation, sounds like we get along better now than when we were married. Interesting. Well, that's interesting there, right? Yeah, probably just having your own private space. Just use separate duvets and sleeping together is a lot less problematic. I could see that suggestion, so you don't feel the moving around so much. The other man, I think he might be right because I know some couples that sleep in separate rooms. That's probably why they are still together. Yeah, maybe that's the key, huh? Like all the couples you do know that are doing well are the ones that sleep in separate rooms. That would be kind of funny.
She want to sit up till 1 a.m. So if I'm forcing her to do that, I'm making her do something she don't want to do. Then how is she going to go to sleep? Or if she said, no, you got to go to sleep with me at midnight and stay up. That's not going to work either. So it is good. I just think that you have to have then trust that the person is not going to do something when they're not in the bedroom, right? Yeah. So as long as you have that, but that's almost tough too.
So that's tough. You know, man, we're at 2 hours, 38 minutes. I'm planning to cut the stream around the 3 hour mark. I'm going to skip. I really want to see. I mean, I'm sure all these topics are great. Men and emotional expression. Oh, dang, that sounds really good. Damn it. I really want to do love and its consequences and financial impact of divorce. All right, we'll do love and its consequences, financial impact of divorce, but let's go ahead and do men and emotional expression, and then we'll do love and the financial impact of divorce, and then I think that'll be it for the night. So I don't think I can do the whole thing, and I just want to be able to cut out a little earlier so I can get this interview with the male space better tomorrow and just feel a little better. Okay, hopefully this works. Sorry, I'm just letting this load here.
It's a little bit tough.
There we go. Just took a bit. All right. So we'll do men and emotional issues.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Should men show any emotions around their woman?
I don't want to be completely like, no, we should be stoic. We should hold
masculine frame.
Masculine frame. I don't want to be that guy. But the problem with it is women will not use it properly over time when you demonstrate certain levels of emotion. So initially she may be, oh, I feel that this person's being sincere. I like that this man is opening up to me. This is great. Unfortunately, she might use that information against you down the line. Remember when you cried? Remember that one time you broke down? Remember you broke down about the time where I ruined your baseball card collection? She might say in a time of, maybe that she's upset with you, that you were weak. She might emasculate you. She might use that information against you. All right.
And especially if she has the leverage in terms of, she brings nothing. You're the main provider. You're married. You're kind of living with the sword of Damocles, so you can't push back on that in a way with confidence without having to risk the whole bottom falling out. You know what I mean?
You might tell that information to someone else.
Klaus says you can show emotion, just not weaknesses. That's an interesting perspective on that.
Right. He opened up to me and she might share it with someone. Then that person gets that information back. And you're like, I was opening up to you. I didn't want everybody to know this type of information, but I don't think they can help it because they're social creatures.
Right.
So they tend to talk and overshare. All right. That's basically what they tend to do. They have a tendency to do this. And so they may mean no harm. They may be trying to just talk. And sometimes words slip out of their mouths that put you at risk. So why you have to have a discussion with them. Do not share anything that happens in this particular situation, in the house, at work, in between us. Now, this is not good for her because she needs protection against abuse. So if you tell her, don't tell anything that happens in this house, what if you do something against her? Now she's going to be like, nah, I can't reach out and tell.
She'll be on edge. Yeah.
She's going to be on edge. So censoring her is not the best way to go about it. So now what's the next best? Do not show any emotions to women. That if you do, it's probably going to not be in your best interest.
I think the red pill was something that, focused a good amount of time on this. And I'm talking like early red pill or just like the subreddit red pill back in the day. I've always kind of believed the red pill, as far as cultivating attraction went, was effective because it was teaching men how to covertly communicate instead of overtly communicating things. And one part of overt communication when it comes to emotions is literally overtly and quite literally communicating your emotions, versus keeping a kind of, block on that and then covertly communicating things. Or they used to call it the hamster wheel. And by doing certain things, her hamster wheel would go, and then she would rationalize certain things or be in a kind of anxiety. And in a strange way, the only way she can then calm that down or express it is almost in like a sexual kind of way, because how do I get his approval from him when he's not just giving me that verbally? Well, then like Coach was talking about the way how women use sex in these different kinds of ways. So there were plenty of examples of that and men learning that. So this idea of, and we've even talked about on this channel so many times, there's been so many threads or just places on the internet of people talking about crying in front of their girlfriend. And the woman writes a whole post about how she just can't see her boyfriend the same way and she's just not attracted to him, or she got the ick. There was the copper wire guy. Some of you guys might remember when we went over the copper wire guy. He was sitting out on the back of his truck. He'd been working, I don't know, I think he was like an electrician or something for like 40 years, and he had this whole copper spool, and he had that for years from the beginning of his career, and he finally got to the end of the spool, and he was sitting there contemplating his life and his mortality, and his wife comes out and asks what he's doing, and completely just like diminishes his emotions or writes them off. And the whole internet like got into a sort of tizzy about it, and it was just another one of those things. But so when it comes to showing emotion, I think the red pill has the concept of shit tests and all these kinds of things, like, I think counseled men largely against that, or how you do that, or in a very limited way, if at all.
What about if you're at the wedding and you tear up a little bit?
Yeah, I hope you're not on camera. You know what I mean? I hope they don't get, your videographer don't get that on camera, because that's what you're going to see go viral, right? And she's going to say you cried, and let's say she doesn't cry, and you was crying through your wedding vows. All right, yeah, you're going to look like a sucker. All right.
Man, you know what's so crazy? I just did a photo job for some folks. They're, people that I knew that asked me to be a photographer for their wedding. And the guy, he did start crying while he was reading his stuff that he'd written down. And I've been working on the photos, and I came across, I've been looking at the reel of photos, and I'm like, damn, should I include that photo or not? Like where it really looks like he's crying, or just some of the after photos where it's like, if you really look at it, you can kind of tell he was, because those photos are probably going to be in that album forever. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It was a conflict that I was dealing with in my own, project I was working on.
Right. And don't let your friends see that. For men, I think, the modern thing is that we're an emotion culture now. Yeah. So they want men to express themselves emotionally and not have this pent up idea of, I can't express myself. However, you will find that it's often used against a man. We haven't figured that out.
The whole emotion thing, it's information gathering, and it's about taking the power away. There's a time and a place, but it's not like willy-nilly, doing that. And a lot of men have unfortunately had to deal with the fallout from that. I saw that clip, says Oikophobic. Mr. Pitt says, for all the criticisms of the red pill, I think it does a phenomenal job of teaching men how to move. In 2025, showing men things like Instagram being the #1 dating app, how to read the room, etc. Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, there's a lot of good things about the red pill in a lot of its different manifestations. Whether it was from, like the Paul Elam style of red pill, and or the Rollo, stuff, or whatever. Like, there is a lot of positives. When it comes to especially the intrasexual Rollo style, my whole thing with the red pill is that it's good for cultivating, short-term engagements. Now, they would argue with me and be like, no, it's good for marriages too, so you can pass your wife's shit tests or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I could see that, and I could see where they say that, but for the most part, I think it's just about the attraction. But for me, it never really solved the sort of long-term deal, so to speak. I think it can maybe help in some marriages, but overall, I don't think it's a guarantee of anything. I guess nothing really is, but I just personally look at it as it's good for understanding what cultivates or diminishes attraction as far as like the intersexual stuff goes. But for the most part, when it comes to the long-term deal making and the pragmatic stuff there, it's more like, it's just becoming a dancing monkey when it comes to that kind of stuff, and hoping that it doesn't fail. And after a long enough time, that's very hard to do, or it's going to fail anyways. Coach will make fun of the masculine frame thing when it comes to a lot of that stuff. So yeah, there are definitely positives to it. You know what I mean? I just think it was just, missing certain things when it comes to the long-term stuff. And, so I agree with you, Mr. Pitt. I've learned a lot, even though I didn't like a lot of the subject, but knowledge is power. Very much true, Klaus. Hope you have a good day tomorrow, Shah. Gonna get back to it. Appreciate that, Oikophobic. Thanks for hanging out. We'll probably only be going for about 15 minutes or so. Hope you have a good day tomorrow as well. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're right though. When I see men crying on video, it's like I lose a little respect for them.
I always remember the Amber Heard thing, like when she talks about her seeing Johnny Depp cry, and she's just like, "Oh, I mean, you just never really see men cry. I've never even seen my father cry." It was just like this weird thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think what's happening is we're trying to outthink and outlogic ourselves against our nature. It's been programmed this way for a long time. I mean, maybe hundreds of years or thousands of years. And there's a reason why we do things. There's a reason why we have these codes. All right, never show emotion against your girl. Never do this. No, it's not something we came up with.
Base says the problem with the red pill is that only men cared enough about women to learn about them. Yeah, you could even say that's a kind of more of a gynocentric type thing. Women never studied men unless it was to be a whore, and I'm literally not joking. I can see that. It's interesting too, because it's like when it comes to, I guess, literal prostitution, it's like they're going to do their best to cater to the male fantasy. And red pill in a way is almost doing their best to cater to the woman's fantasy and being that kind of, person that they can project that fantasy on. And that's where the covert communication stuff goes and not being so outright about things. It's a good point, Base.
Establish some gender roles. We just know it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, we look at men differently that do this. And we say, what's wrong with him? Why would he do that? Why can't he exhibit toughness? For instance, if a guy wins the MVP of the NFL and he gets up there and cries, what kind of football player is this?
Right.
This guy can't lead the locker room. He's supposed to be the team quarterback. And he's running around with fingernail polish and he's crying in the stands. Guess what, man? He can't lead the team. He's not a real man. So he immediately loses respect, even though we want men to open up.
Right.
Caesar says the red pill is a good praxeology. I mean, I don't think it's just the praxeology. I think there's some parts that are. To be honest, when I hear Rolo drone on about the praxeology aspect, I think it's just his way of bending the knee to tradcons and just trying to get tradcon acceptance, as far as the tradcon hijacking went. But, I get that there's the intrasexual dynamics part of it. Klaus says, I was called out for not crying at the funeral of my father. The same women later said I was such a strong guy, as I never show weaknesses. I mean, well, that's part of it too. I mean, and I, God forbid, not for a long time, but part of that is like your father passes away and it is really your job to lead the family, take care of these funerary arrangements. And it's like your father raised you to this point. So really, you're not going to cry when something happens and you have to take care of this stuff. Now, I mean, I get it. But probably in private or something like that, maybe it would come out. I know people grieve differently. But I think there's a type, it's tough. I've seen people who's, they've lost their father and I've watched them in the funerary process. And I've seen plenty of people cry, men and women alike. But I understand, I would watch and there's a seriousness in terms of taking care of things and getting these arrangements done and all the people are over. Let's make sure that they're fed and good and get all this stuff scheduled and figured out. But I get it. I really do. I get it. It's definitely be tough not to cry for sure.
Yeah, it's ironic. Can men and women
be friends?
Depends on what you're talking about here. I think if you're saying if two people are in a relationship and they have friends of different genders, it's gonna be a no.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you this. I definitely lean on the no side. Yeah, pretty much. Love and its consequences. All right, let's go there. So we'll finish up with these two.
So what typically happens, men that commit crimes, it's often going to be towards a woman or because of a woman. All right. When they do risky behavior, they sell drugs, they become part of gangs. It's normally they're trying to impress a woman or get an attention from women.
Right.
Or they have a woman that's a part of that particular group that they may be sleeping with the other man's partner and there's a fight between each other. So a lot of the behaviors that men are doing either violently are directed towards women or as a result of them.
100%.
Yeah, pretty simple to see that. So in that case, when people say love is good, when I say love got people in cemeteries, love got people in prison. They loved them a little bit too much, right? You know what I mean? Like the love went out of order, right? The love created chaos. So you got to be careful with that.
Do you believe in love?
I believe in the definition of love. I don't believe in what people call love.
Right. Yeah, it's been outplayed at this point.
Yeah. I think what it is more of a fantasy approach to it and not very realistic.
Yep. Fantasy, not pragmatic at all. And it's just throwing caution to the wind.
Which goes back to relationships.
Love conquers all between classes and this and that.
Are transactional. Love don't pay the bills. Okay, so I love this person, but we're going to be evicted in 5 months or in a year or next month. How good is love? In the divorce court, they don't mention love one time. Yeah. They don't mention God or love. When you get married, they talk about God and love. When you go to divorce court, no mention of God, no mention of love. The judge.
Coach mentioned that in his discussion with Hafiz.
Judge is God, right? The love comes from the money that's about to be split up. All right. So they don't even try to get you back together. They don't even say, you know what? I thought you loved each other. Why are you doing this? Not once. They basically are like, okay, good.
But what about the love, though? What about the love? Oh, man, I wanted to use my sound effect.
Whoa.
Okay.
Ice this money up. All right. I'm God. I get to judge everybody else. And then let's go ahead and make everybody's life miserable.
Yep.
The love is gone. And you never know who your wife is until you see her in divorce court.
That's the true wife?
That's the true wife. That's who she really was the entire time.
Oh, man. Hopefully I never go through that, man.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Hope is not a strategy, by the way, but you know, you have to plan to not go through that.
Yep. You need documentation.
Yep.
So one and done for you. My dad had 2 divorces and no more after that.
I mean, why
2 divorces?
Destroyed him.
Destroyed him,
man. He was never the same.
Never the same. I mean, these are very difficult things for men to go through. And I don't think people really give men the credit for going through a divorce. They basically say, oh, you know, suck it up and get back out there and don't talk negative and don't share any bad information about the mother of your children.
You know what's interesting? He mentioned that both of his parents cheated. And I wonder, like, if so his, you know, maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what the iterations of that would look like. Maybe dad cheated on mom and then married the person he cheated with, the affair partner, and then they got divorced. That would be 2 divorces. But he said both parents cheated, so maybe the mom cheated before that. Oh, that's another coachism right there, Klaus. Hope is not a strategy. He is so right about that. Absolutely.
Men get destroyed. They almost divorce. They basically say, oh, you know, suck it up and get back out there and don't talk negative and don't share any bad information about the mother of your children. But men get destroyed. They almost never financially recover.
He lost 2 houses.
This part, listen, I get, like, when they're kids, you know, you don't want to bad talk the other parent. There's going to come a time, though, when your kids are older and you're going to have to be real with them about what the hell went down. Not that you have to tell them, but if your kids are dealing with things in their life and you're going to be like, you're an adult now. And, you know, you may not want to, you know, this is just so you know, just so you can understand, just so you can learn. I'm teaching you right now, you know, eventually it'll probably come out.
There you go. So you lose the houses. And not only that, you lose future assets.
Exactly. You lose the house. The nest egg gets juiced. I used to see this all the time. Then you have 2 electricity bills, 2 water bills, because both people can't live together. That's all money that could have went into really helping springboard these kids into a better future.
You lose your ability to retire. You might lose your access to your children. You lose the ability to determine where the monies go for your children. So the wife can take all the money and spend it. And then when the kids turn 18, they show up at dad's doorstep. Hey, dad, there's nothing left. All right. Send me to college, and you're destroyed financially.
Yep.
And not only that, your heart's broken. You feel betrayed by the people that were closest to you. How do you recover from that? Men don't have a way to recover from this. They don't have people speaking to this. And I speak to it. So I give men an option. Okay, you went through your first divorce. Do not get married again for 5 years. Only see hookers and escorts. Never date anyone seriously for 5 years.
Hookers and escorts?
Yes, that's it. You don't need your heart involved in any other woman, because what's going to happen is you're going to get snookered into the second marriage relatively fast.
The rebound.
Sounds kind of like what happened to the host. I mean, I don't know, but he was talking about 2 divorces.
Rebound. And that woman, you're going to get the playbook to how to not be the previous woman. What you're going to do is you're going to meet her within a year or 2, and you're going to tell her, my ex-wife did this, my ex-wife did that. What is she learning? She's learning not to do these things. So she's going to do everything. I'm wonderful. I'm great. Oh, my new girl.
This is the cosplay.
She's great. She's not like my ex-wife. You already told her what not to do. Second marriages have a worse divorce rate than the first marriage.
Really?
50%.
That's true. Yeah, it goes from like 50 to 70, or like 50 to mid 60s. Then the thirds are 70%.
To 60% of first marriages in the divorce. It's 63% to 70% for second marriages. And it's 73% and above for third marriages. They're basically worse.
Wow.
And they typically are shorter. They're shorter. You basically get married in the 3 years, you're done. All right. The first marriage is way longer because you were willing to work through it. Once you already learn how to pull the ripcord, it's easy for the second marriage to just get pulled. Normally there's other kids involved. There's step kids on both sides. So you're dealing with a completely different recipe, which nobody gives you a playbook for. And the marriages that don't end in divorce, the guy basically doesn't want to look like an idiot and get divorced 2 times. So what does he do? He just like, I'm going to suck it up.
Sexless marriage.
Sexless marriage. I guess I'm going to have to do, I'm going to look like an idiot when 2 women divorce me.
Right.
It's my fault now.
Dang, I kind of want to go understanding the simp culture, advice for Bonnie Blue. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, I agree. I got Bonnie Blue coming on next week.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That should be itches.
What would you tell her if you saw her?
Bonnie Blue.
She's the one that slept with 1,000 in a day.
Yeah. Man, what would I tell her? I don't think she's doing anything. Like, I don't think she is doing anything that is not being allowed for her to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly not illegal.
Being a freak is not against the law of the United States of America. Being a sexual deviant is not against the laws of the United States of America. Having 1,000 bottles of dollar store baby oil.
Yeah, so.
I think her parents are helping her with her marketing.
Yep.
So it's a family business.
Oh, yeah, that's a
So they monetize her daughter, and it's a family business. She's probably going through some trauma, and she's hiding that. So if possible, she could be a little bit more honest about what she's going through. I don't think people will consider taking her genuinely, but she's probably going through a lot of things that she's not telling people. But she's promoting that lifestyle so that, yes, a lot of people are probably going to duplicate it or compete with her, and they're going to go through the same issues. But I think, from a lot of people have drawn the lines and said she's degrading society. I mean, there's women doing that you never even heard of. And they're not filming it, or they're filming it and they're not just as popular.
Right.
But I know, living in Las Vegas, I know them.
Oh, you've seen them.
I know them. I've seen them. I've been around them.
They walk the casinos at night.
They walk the casinos at night, and they're doing the similar, maybe not 1,000 guys at once, but some women are just doing, 6 guys at once.
Yeah, 1,000 a year probably. Yeah.
1,000 a year. So it's happening, and it is what it is. I try not to promote her on my show.
Yeah.
Because where men stand is that they're going to subscribe to her, right? Yeah. They're going to give her money as soon as I keep talking about her.
That's kind of how like the bigger panel shows, like whatever, or Fresh. I don't know. Like there seemed to be this kind of, like when you think of like Fresh and Fit, I guess, like there's this kind of weird phenomena where, there's a big audience watching and they're kind of dunking on them, but then some of those same people will then subscribe to their OnlyFans or whatever.
Over again, they're going to give her money. For my particular audience, I try to protect from that. But I can see why people will want to get
like those people go on there to get the exposure. I think the more recent one. So I saw Piers Morgan, and he had this one of the girls. She used to be on whatever a lot, Farha or something. And she totally, she's on the shows to promote the OnlyFans, but that's all part of the business.
Interview her. She got numbers.
Yeah.
I would interview her. I just wouldn't talk about her.
Yeah. Yeah. The simp culture. I used to be a simp. I'll be honest.
Okay.
And I could see
that's a lot of us. That's a lot of us. We have to accept that to move forward.
where they're coming from, but I'm so surprised how many of them there are these days. Because when I was a simp, it was rare. It wasn't like a common thing, I feel like.
Well, you can hide behind the computer, right? You could just send your $5 or talk to them and, you know, get subscribed to this. I just think it's easier for men to be able to have relationships with people online. That's why, you know, can we say OnlyFans here?
Yeah.
So the OnlyFans thing, some people don't understand it. For me, I understand it completely because of the culture that we're in today.
I think it might have, well, I hope he wears rubber gloves for his next interview for sanitation reasons. Was I hallucinating, or did I see a clip of Bonnie Blue asking her mom to help her clean, remove the dried male genetic material from her hair, face, body, home? You know, to be honest, I think that was a clip that was circling around. Because I remember seeing her like mom in one of them. Something was circling around Twitter. I can't remember exactly. But I don't think that might have actually happened.
So people are like, hey, there's free access to this online. Why would you subscribe to this person? Well, that person you can somewhat have a conversation with. You feel connected to them. You might not be talking to her. You might be talking to her manager or her pimp or whoever.
Yeah.
So
some guy from India far away in a call center somewhere that's working a second shift for being an OnlyFans person.
Connected to a person. Whereas this video you seeing on this website, you're not connected to that person. You might be able to get yourself pleasure, but you don't have a connection to them. That's like an Instagram site that you can see and interact. They might heart your comment.
Right.
Where over here, they're not. Typically, the men that are using these are married men, overwhelmingly married men.
That was always very surprising to me when I heard that.
And married men do not have this relationship with their wives. They might tend to like younger women. They like the younger version of their wives. Even if they're old or they have a daughter that age, they still have a desire to communicate with this particular group of women. They can't get that on a offsite. They can get that, or they can get an idea that they're doing that on here. So it is for those group of men serving a purpose. So it's creating a simp culture where the women can monetize themselves and these men can feel like that contribution is helping her pay her way through college or something like that. Unfortunately, I just think, you know, without the internet, without access to social media, you're not going to be able to cure simp culture.
That's when I was a simp. Yeah, it was a lot harder. But now OnlyFans has made it so easy. I think 30% of guys my generation are from.
All right. We'll do this last part. Solutions to relationships. And then we'll see it out.
People are looking for answers. People want to help this group of men. So they'll say, be more confident and, you know, learn, you know, get a bigger chest or do some push-ups. Or like they start telling me what to do, get a better job. Like they're trying to solve for it. But they're missing the entire picture. Every time I hear people try to solve for this, they get the solution wrong. Because what they don't want to do, and they know this, they do not want to say, these OnlyFans girls or the women, the young women that are experimenting with this particular group of people should be shamed and ostracized from society. We should have parameters around what these women do. We should not let them terminate their kids and jump them on birth control. But they can't do that. That is
it's the opposite of, I guess, you know, a lot of the values of secular, free society.
Cancel culture. That's misogyny. That's patriarchy. You can't go in and attack that group of people, right? They're a protected group of people. You're blaming.
There it is.
Them. Sometimes you're victim blaming. Oh, well, they're the victim. All right. They had to be forced into this and you're blaming them. However, they then tell the guys that they have to become better. And that's the way they're going to get these women. And it's false.
Masculine frame. Yeah, that's just simping harder. That's what John from It's Complicated has an episode on called The Alpha Simp.
They're not going to get not immediately. You'll get the remnants of this woman. You'll get her after she's shell-shocked through OnlyFans. I know a lot of former OnlyFans girls. They're shell-shocked. They're a mess. They're a mess. They're trying to readapt to society. You will find that they're doing riskier behavior.
It's like coming back from war.
Other than the OnlyFans related to drugs. They're doing a lot of escorting and a lot of things where they're showing up at hotel suites and there's orgies and it's a mess. Jeez. They're shell-shocked. They're in massive depression. They don't know how to make money, fast money, the way they made that fast money. So they start doing fast money tricks after that. And then they start wanting to marry a rich guy to get out of that situation and potentially scrub their history off the internet. That's their out. So they're not able to maintain regular relationships after that. They're not able to maintain regular jobs and go work at Sling Hamburgers and deliver, as a waitress. It's too slow. However, it's the men's fault, right? You poor guys out here need to become better and then come, run game on these girls and learn how to approach them. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. We're allowing the women to degrade themselves and then telling the men to be better for that group of women.
Part of a humiliation ritual. That's the gynocentrism.
And marry them up after they're shell-shocked. They're not addressing that side.
Right.
How come the promiscuity has gone up on the woman's side and decline on the men's side? Why? We need to figure that out. All right. Why are we allowing that and not shaming that or just shaming the men?
Yeah.
These men got to be better. They got to start eating their Wheaties. And okay, but what about
that's the TradCon
girls are doing?
Even some red pillars.
That's completely messing up the balance of the relationship, because at some particular point, she's going to want to get away from that promiscuity. It's a period. It's a phase. So what is she going to seek out? These group of men.
Yeah, and by the time she does that and she wants the high-value guy who had to climb up there on his own with no investment into him, why is he going to take the long-term monogamous deal with them? Men were doing that. I'd like to think there's been some positive change of moving away from that.
And completely manipulate the hell out of them because they're inexperienced. They don't want to ask the tough questions. They're just lucky to be there. But they also have somebody who's completely traumatized through promiscuity and putting their ass on the internet. So
that's a recipe for disaster. Someone with too much experience and someone without it.
Future relationship is going to be a disaster.
Yep, there you go.
It's a recipe for disaster.
There you go.
Right.
That's exact. I haven't watched this part, but yeah, that.
Yes, right.
Coach Greg, it's been fun, man. Where can people watching this watch your show and keep up with you, man?
I'm on the Free Agent Lifestyle channel on YouTube. Also, the Coach Greg Adams channel is my main channel. You can get me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, Coach Greg Adams. You can Google it. I'm on there. I got the book, The Free Agent Lifestyle. Go get it.
Oh,
yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate that,
guys. I think you're live every day.
Man, that's pretty cool. We're gonna read the comments, and then I know Dan the Man put an image in the Discord. We'll get there. Or you know what? Yep. Let's just put the image in now. Dan the Man says, "When is the pizza coming?" Have a great interview with Male Space. Thank you, sir. Ah, man, that's a great. Oh, with the cat too. Oh, that's fantastic, man. I love this picture. Actually, wow, that is amazing. Wow, I'm gonna save that. Shah with cigar and cat. Thank you, man. That's gonna make it into one of these music videos out here. Yeah, the pizza's coming soon, I promise, man. The pizza's coming soon. I gotta make a little video about it too. Trevor sent me a super chat that's specifically supposed to be for a pizza. So I need to make good on the man. Look at how clean the watch looks, man. That makes me want to get a suit and a hat and grow my hair back out. Man, with the it's a little just chill watch like that. Man, thank you. What a great picture. That's fantastic. I really like wherever this is. I want to go there. However far I got to travel to go here, I'd like to go wherever that is. If it's in Marrakesh, then so be it. I don't even see how anyone can deny the red pill at this point. I remember the highest loneliness I ever felt was in a relationship. Wow. As a man, if a woman ever leaves you or cheats on you, your mindset must be, she's someone else's problem now, not OMG, how do I get her back? Coach Gang, we in here. Coach Gang is undefeated again and again and again, live from Vegas. CGA has taught me so much and has gotten me to see relationships, ideas of family and marriage in a more practical and realistic way. I like that. A lot of what I was taught was through media, and a lot of us fell for it because most of us came from broken households and dying marriages. That's true. Coach Greg Adams is brutally underrated. I'm a woman that has been listening to him for 3+ years. Look at that. And I have drilled myself into becoming the best woman I can be for my man. I'm lucky to have found him at 26 and keep improving daily. I see the direct impact. The better I treat my man, the better he treats me. It's a win-win. I love his content because I get to learn from the mistakes of other women, and as such can reduce and damage control my life to the maximum. I don't want to be alone and sad and old. I love being led by masculine men and cooking for him and catering to him. This, I mean, I don't know. She sounds like she's making all the right noises, but I'm going to just go to the next. Coach is the real one and saving men's lives and giving life improvement advice in real life. Most real one in Manosphere RP space. Shout out to the Coach Gang, and that's you. Hey, Don DeMarco's in here. Shout out to him. Oh, I already liked it. I think I saw this when I first looked at the interview. I was like, and I did the same thing. I forgot. That's tight. Man, I don't even know. I can't even leave a comment for some reason. That is weird. Oh, I'm tripping. They must have. I don't know. Oh my God.
In these apps will say.
Oh my God. What happened?
They didn't always have it easy.
Oh my God. Oh, there we go. Okay. I hit all kinds of things on, the fatigue. Shout out to the Coach Gang. There we go. Okay. We'll see ourselves out. All right, folks. Man, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to my discussion with the male space tomorrow. How about to just wake up? I feel better. I mean, I had a runny nose at the beginning of this. That seems to be kind of taken care of. I'm going to have a piece of my pound cake with some tea right now and just contemplate my newfound trad lifestyle, I guess. As I recall, a mom or female assistant had some shame and declined. I don't pay attention. I had no idea that her parents were as involved as her with their career as they apparently were. Yeah, I remember seeing something, so I knew they were. Salute from Oikophobic. Salute to all the folks out there. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks to all the folks that hung out tonight. We got 28 likes. Thanks, Caesar, for the super chat. Thanks for all the folks that hung out. I mean, to have even 30 folks in here watching is a blessing. That's a lot of folks, hanging out. So I really hope that the content was worth it. Next week, we'll be right back here. Have some more sources for you guys. We'll react to something fun. I got to get that pizza in honor of I Trevor. I got to make a little video about that. I'll be working on finishing my academic paper for New Male Studies. If anybody wanted to submit some artwork to that, I remember I was supposed to upload that to the AI section of the Discord here. So let me do that right now. Mr. Pitt asked me to do that. Sorry about that, Mr. Pitt. Let me just put some of these things in there. Back around. Let's see here. There we go. All right, incoming, folks. It's gonna be a lot of. I don't even know where the. There we go. Uploading 10 files right now. Man, that pizza photo is amazing. That's a great photo. Man, with the cat too. That's exactly where I want to be, man. I want to be right there. Dan the man, I want to be right there, bro. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you for that. The environment in that photo is a Havana-style speakeasy coffee shop. There are quite a few of them interspersed throughout major metropolitan areas. I'll keep that in mind. A Havana-style speakeasy coffee shop. Man, that sounds beautiful. Gosh, with the cigar too. That's what I need to do, man. I got a couple suits like that, but a nice black one would be nice. And a hat too. I'll put a good few hundred, they're probably pretty expensive, but I could spare a good 500 for one of those someday. Yeah, I like that. I'm Google imaging some of this. They look pretty cool. Man, I got to get this song posted on the channel with the slideshow, Mr. Pitt. I love this song. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Klaus, Caesar, Luke, Oikophobic, Karen Takar, Dan the Man, Moisture Guy, Mr. Pitt. I know there's some folks I'm missing. I'm sorry. Base FCZ. the dowry. Make it clear. Angry Casper, username. Orem, you're a legend. Let's see. I think I got everybody. Kyle Wells. All right. Oh, gosh. Well, I think we'll just call it there, folks. We can be there in AI images. Just got to make it. Sounds good to me, man. I might even restart it while we're hanging out. We don't even have venues where you would allowed to smoke a cigar. I know, man. Can we bring back smoking cigars inside and eating at the same time? I just dropped more images in the Discord. Ooh. Oh, they're just loading. Yeah, look at that. That's a place to hang out right there. What a beautiful image. I like that a lot. Damn, I really want a cigar right now. I'll get a cigar one of these days. Thank you for that, Mr. Pitt. I'm like just enamored by this one right now. Whoa, audio clip is in your Discord DMs. Copy that. Oh, got it. It's up there. Bring back the dowry. Let's make it clear.
There was a dowry or a bride price.
Thanks for the sound effect, man. All right, well, I better go have a piece of my pound cake that I cooked at home with all ingredients that I saw go in there. And hopefully we'll get a video from a mail space with him and I having a discussion soon. And we'll share that in the Discord. And when the paper gets published, God willing, we'll share that too. And we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep on the trail. We're hot on the trail. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going until we find, what we're looking for. Something amazing. W Stream. Thank you, Mr. Pitt. Salute